And then let's clap. In 3, 2, 1. And we're ready to go.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 7 of the Co-op Zone. The day that we're recording, there's a lot of news today, so we're just going to get right into things. I'm your host, Dane Alexander, along with Elek Batoski, and we're going to start off with just summarizing up pretty quickly what we've been playing recently. So, as you know, I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and just finished it last night. And I have got to say, that might be the best game that I played last year.
Oh, wow.
Assuming that, like, or including the games that actually came out last year, not opposed to like a game that came out in 2017 that I played last year or something like that.
Oh, okay, for
But
sure.
Star Wars was very good. I think that you would love it, Alec. I really do.
I think so too.
I just couldn't get enough of that game, so much so that for the first time in a while, I actually got every achievement in a game.
Ooh.
So, yep, there were 39, all 39 out of 39. So on Xbox, 1,000 out of 1,000 gamer score. So that was exciting.
What was your favorite thing about the whole thing? Like, if you had to pick one thing that was just so good about it, is it the combat story?
So the combat's really cool, and they actually do a really good job of like lightsaber on lightsaber and stuff. And like I said, the combat's one of those like easy to play but hard to master type things. But once you actually start to unlock like all the abilities, and you can slow people, push people, pull people, different lightsaber moves, stuff like that, like it really starts to come together. And then you just start, like, once you can like master it, you just start flowing really well in combat. And it's really good for for a studio's first attempt at a Star Wars game. This was excellent.
Ooh.
Excellent. I would give it a 9. I'd only give it a 9 because performance issues were annoying. There have been some updates. Another update came out right before I beat it, and one of the fixes was to fix an elevator glitch in literally the last level, that the elevator like disappears and then you can't beat the game because you have to use the elevator. So luckily that update came out literally right before I got to the last level, so I didn't have to worry about that. But very good ending, very good story, loved it, really like the story. Even if you don't like the game, like, I feel like just try to push through it for the story alone. Like, I really enjoyed it. Some parts are a little, Star Wars tropey with, like I mentioned before, like with the Padawan and the Jedi Knight, and one
is to be
is
expected,
leading the other, and that's kind of to be expected. But I just really love the story, and finding out certain things that happened. Like, it takes place after the Clone Wars, and you're kind of just like, Empire has already taken over, so they've switched from the Republic to the Empire, and there's just so many like things that you can find that just give really cool clues to like backstory that you don't need to find, but it's just there. And if you do find these pieces, like, it's really cool seeing what happened outside of like the movies and the shows, and just like a nice side story and their own perspective of like certain issues, and going from that leadership change of the fall of the Jedi to the Clone Wars and the clones just taking over, and then going from the Republic with the clones to the Empire. And it was very good. Love the story. I didn't read too much about story stuff, because I try not to spoil things before I play games. So I don't know if that was something a lot of other people liked, but I'm a huge story guy, and I really enjoyed the story in this game. The only issues I really had with the game were, in the beginning, it was very difficult. Of course, that's partially to blame for myself, because I went to Dathomir right off the bat, which you're not really ready for yet.
Right.
So it was a little bit more difficult than it maybe would have been. So maybe I was a little bit unfair in that sense. but it is a pretty difficult game. But once you start to get to that point where like you know what you're doing and you really unlock a lot of stuff, it actually gets kind of easy-ish. So maybe I would have been better on a harder difficulty had I kept it there. But overall, really loved the game. Super glad they didn't have any achievements that were like, you need to beat the game on the hardest difficulty in order to get all the achievements, because then I never would have gotten all the achievements. But since they didn't, and all you had to do was beat the game to at least get like the story achievements, I was able to get all the rest. So overall, super good game. Very disappointed that they kind of spoil like part of the ending in the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I already know like who the final boss was, and that was kind of just like popping up all over my recommended on YouTube.
So they didn't show him in any of the earlier trailers before the game came out. So my guess is they kind of sit there going, okay, it's been a couple weeks now. Whoever really wanted to get this and didn't want anything to be spoiled would have played it by now. But I obviously completely disagree. It's not like a movie where you just need like 2 hours to go and see it and then you're good.
Right.
Like a game, you have to sit down for hours and find time to play it. Like even if you're a huge fan like I am, like I really wanted to play that game and beat it. But it just takes time for me to get around to buying it and playing it and then beating it.
Right.
And for them just like to do that in the commercial, which I get, because now they're trying to push sales later on in its lifespan of, oh, hey, like maybe we can get some more people if we show this cool part or show that this character is in the game. You know, maybe we can get some extra sales out of that. But it's just kind of annoying, especially when that character isn't in the game at all until the end.
Right.
So it literally like is spoiling the ending. It's not like he pops up in the beginning and you know right away that he's in the game. You don't know it all until the very ending. And it's a really cool way that they do it too. It's not like they're trying to just capitalize off of it. It didn't seem cheesy, where all of a sudden they're just like, oh, we're trying to bank off of this, and like here's this cool Star Wars character that everybody loves. So you know, now you'll be like, oh, cool, so and so is in it. Like they did it in a really well done way that didn't feel cheap. And it wasn't just fan service. It felt kind of like legit. And then the way that they used him was really cool too. So it's not just like a boss battle, but like it's a little bit of that, but then it also leads into like some extra sequences that was just really cool. So I thought it was very well done, and it didn't seem cheap or cheesy in how they did it. Very ending, like the last scene, I get. I was okay with how it very, very ended, but I liked it. I liked what they did. Overall, really, really liked the game. I'd give it a 9, 100%. It's a great game. Probably the best Star Wars game that I've ever played.
Best Star Wars game I ever played.
That I've ever played.
That you've ever played.
There are some that I've missed out on. So everyone loves Knights of the Old Republic. It's too difficult to go back and play that, and I never really played it.
Yeah.
I tried when I was very little, and I just couldn't get into it because I didn't understand those types of games at the time because of my age.
Right.
So it was too complicated for me, and I just never got a chance to get back into it. So unfortunately, I can't use that game to judge any of this.
Have you played the Battlefronts, the original Battlefronts?
Yeah. I love the original Battlefronts.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah, those are great. But again, that might be more of a nostalgia thing, whereas this is like genuinely a really awesome game. And I really do think that you would like it too. I do still wish that there were some fast travel things, because they're like, oh, we want to make sure that you explore the whole place. I went back and collected all of the collectibles mainly because I already found the vast majority of them on my playthrough, just like looking at every, nook and cranny and stuff. So when it came time for me to like look back for others, they were literally at places that I had already been, just very obscure places where you never would have thought to look. So I had to go back for that, and there are some areas where you can't, especially on Dathomir, you can't go back and get the collectibles. You have to go back and get them. And I just never got a chance to get back into it. So unfortunately, I can't use that game to judge any of this. the only way to go back through to certain areas is to literally go all the way back around the map. You can't just take a shortcut, really. So you're like, okay, I want to go back and get that one thing in that one spot, but now you have to go all the way back around the map. You can't just teleport to the area literally right next to where that piece is. So that is a little obnoxious, but I'll let that slide because overall it's just really great, and it does get easier to go back to certain areas once you've leveled up and everything. So,
Right.
Great game, highly recommend it. If you haven't played it, go play that ASAP.
Yeah, I'll probably pick it
there
up
is
when
a
it's on
difficulty
sale.
curve, but yeah, it's really good. Single player only too. Nothing else with multiplayer or anything like that. I would love to see, I don't see, here's the thing. I don't know if I'd want to see a part 2 of this, but I'd
Would
love
you
to
be
see
okay with
DLC.
would you like to see that same type of gameplay and combat and all that, but just a different story? And not like bring him back as like the main character?
Um, well, see, that's why I would like DLC with this game
Mm-hmm.
instead, because the system that they already have is great. And then you travel to different planets. So all they have to do is make DLC or like, here's a new planet with a new side story. And now you literally just, go to another planet and fulfill whatever like mystery is going on over there.
Right.
And I think that would be a really great way to keep what's awesome in this game, but add a little something new.
And fix
Whereas
the
if they make a
bugs.
whole new game, I don't know where they would. I mean, I do see where they would go off of,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if it would like tarnish this game now. Where now this game is less great because now they're just trying to capitalize off it and make a different game. Because they came out and said that when they went to Lucasfilm to pitch them this game, they said, "Hey,
Oh
we want to
yeah.
do." Yeah, they said, "Hey, we want to do a game with Jedi and lightsabers and using the Force." And then they went back at them and said, "How about a first-person shooter with blasters, or like a bounty hunter game?" And I totally get why they would want that because that kind of would play into the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. But and honestly, I would still like to see a game like that. I think this, especially Respawn, who is very good with Titanfall, and they have people from past Call of Duty games and stuff. I think that a bounty hunter game would be incredible. I think they would be the best team by far to do a bounty hunter game.
It'd be a sick game.
Yeah, I really do think it would be. So if they were to do something, I'd love to see them take this and just do something new with it,
Mm-hmm.
like a bounty hunter game where it's a whole different story and cast, but it plays kind of similar, and they just take that and just build it around like a whole separate world and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just making a part 2 to this. Otherwise, if they did keep this, I'd rather do DLC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that they were able to convince them that like, no, this should be a Jedi game with lightsabers and stuff, because man, this game is great, very good. Very sad that it's over, to be honest, but
I'm in the same boat right now, dude.
okay. So
Let me.
so Elec's been playing a couple things, and I don't know what they're about, so hit it.
So I've been playing on and off Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is a good game, but it gets kind of boring. Story's kind of just whimsical. It's a standard Dragon Quest game. And so I was scrolling through my library because I didn't want to spend money on a game, and I saw that I had Dragon Age Inquisition. And I played it a little bit and got really bored of it, so I never really finished it. So I'm like, all right, let me give this a
That
shot.
one's 2012 or 2013, right?
Yeah, around there, 2013, I think. It was right when the PS4 and Xbox One was coming out or was out, so like you could get it on either
Okay,
the
I think
PS.
that was the end of 2012, right?
Yeah, something like that. I think it was
Yeah.
Skyrim was 2012, so I think it was 2013.
No. Skyrim was 2011.
You're right.
11,
It was
11.
2011. Yeah. You're right.
That was
You're
their
right.
big thing, 11, 11, 11.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2012. And so I was replaying. I was trying to play that, and the thing that I think is my issue with Zelda, and it's not so much Zelda itself, Breath of the Wild. It's just I've been playing so many open world games that they're all kind of the same now. And I think if I played Breath of the Wild back when it was a kind of like the hot new thing, I would have enjoyed it more. But the thing that I'm noticing that I don't like is what I like to call goop. It's goop in the game, and what goop is to me is when you have to go to a certain vantage point to see a certain parts of the map, and like a vantage point, you know, like in Assassin's Creed, you go to a big tower, you see everything, and then they're like, oh, here's all the extra stuff that doesn't matter in the game. And I'm kind of tired of having that. And Zelda has it, and Dragon Age Inquisition has it, and it's by far like the worst because
but that's just side quests, right?
It's not even
like they're
side
not
quests.
things that you have to do.
Exactly.
Like in Zelda, there's never a point where they're like, you have to do all this stuff, but from up here you can like see over some hills or some mountains, and you can just get a better viewpoint of like areas around you.
But I don't care about that. I don't care about this extra goop that they throw in the game. I want to play what the game is meant to be. And so I think I'm just over.
But isn't that part of the game, the side quests?
It depends. Skyrim was very much part of the side quest because their main quest sucked. So the side quest was actually really good. So you want to play the side quest. In Zelda, I feel like the main part is really good, but then when I'm doing the side stuff, I don't care. It's not that great. I want to just not do it. So I think I'm in this phase where I'm kind of just over the whole open world. I want to play more grounded games, something like Uncharted.
Single player games.
Yeah, single player.
Okay, yeah.
Not open world, Uncharted, linear. Give me a good ass story. So I'm like, okay, well, I have Red Dead Redemption 2 and Dragon Age Inquisition that I haven't played that I have. Both of those are huge open world games.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
with the sports games, I love having like. Did I just say sports games?
Yeah, you did.
Not sports games, guys. Not sports games. The games that are basically tailor-made from the get-go to just be an incredible experience. It's not necessarily about you deciding what to do. Like sometimes I want to be told where I can and can't go. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like that's always a bad thing because people go, oh, I want an open world where if I can go there or if I want to go there, I can. And that's great. And I think that has a place. And, you know, this isn't any knock on those. Obviously, Zelda is one of my favorite games of all time. It was incredible.
Yeah.
But I do 100% enjoy closed off games where they just build something from the ground up, a level that goes from point A to point B. And it's just do exactly what they want you to do. It's an interactive movie. Yeah. I'm 100% fine with that. And if they say that you're going to do this, I'm okay. As long as it's fun and it keeps me entertained, I do not mind that in any way.
Right. And so, yeah, Dragon Age is just a lot of... Story was not that... I'm not that into it, and characters or whatever, and just a bunch of goop that I don't care about. And then Red Dead, I remember playing 6 hours into it, and I'm still just doing tutorials. And so...
first or second?
Second one.
Okay.
It's funny, I bought full price for that game because I'm like, oh, I'm going to spend at least 100 hours in this because there's so much to do. And there's almost too much to do that I'm like just overwhelmed. And I'm like, just give me the story. And a lot of it's just, you know, go hunt a bear and you do that for like an hour and a half. And all you do is just bring some food for your people and just ride a horse. And so,
yeah, see that, and that was very similar to GTA 5, where you can literally spend your whole life in that game. And you can find new stuff to do every day.
There's so much.
It's literally like a simulation of real life. Just, you know, with
I'm not saying these are bad games.
With
These are not bad games.
But like I agree with being like overwhelmed. Like there's too much to do.
Yeah.
And then you're just sitting here going like, wait, I don't have time for all of this. I'd love to do it all, but like I just can't. And here's the thing is that I always have a backlog. So whenever I'm thinking of like what game I'm going to play next, I'm just like, okay, if I play that game, then I'm not going to be able to get to any of these other games that I really still want to play. Mm-hmm. And instead, I like the time that I invest. Like this is my issue with The Witcher 3 that I have. I haven't played The Witcher 3 because I know that I have to spend, you know, well over 100 hours in that game to beat it.
Yeah.
And I know that I could beat all of the other games in my catalog within that same 100 hours.
Right. Yeah, that's. I also have that sitting in my library too. That I've played, 20 hours into it. I'm just like, it's just too much, and I just want to see the story. I want to know what's going to happen next, and it's just like the side quests. You almost kind of need to do if you want to have a powerful character. Otherwise, you're going to end up being too weak later in the story.
Yeah. And that
it's the
happens.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's the
try to
same with
rush through
Zelda.
it, and then it's like, oh, well, you needed to do side quests because it's the only way that you can get experience points and level up and
Yeah,
stuff.
so even though they're optional, they're not really optional. You kind of have to do them.
Well, I mean, you could if you're really good at the game.
Right, but I don't think most people, like in Zelda, just ditch all the side stuff and do the main stuff. You're going to want to get those orbs to get more hearts, more stamina. And so you're kind of forced into having to do all these side stuff that
Yeah, but
aren't that
Zelda's
great.
one of the few games that actually lets you just go right to the end. So at any point, if you think that you're ready, you can give it a try.
Yeah.
So kudos to them for that, at least. Like,
I
you
totally
don't really
agree.
have to, but you should. You should, but you don't have to.
Yeah. So here I am, tired. I'm like, you know what? Let me try something new. Let me stop playing an open world game, because maybe that's my issue right now. I've been wanting this game to rejuvenate my gamer self, and I just haven't had that happen. I want Zelda to be that game, but I'm just kind of, I don't know. It's not hitting me in the right places right now. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll buy a game, but it's got to be cheap. I'm thinking under $20. I open up my PlayStation store, and right there in the front, bam, $15, God of War. I'm like,
Let's go.
all right.
Let's
I've heard
go.
some good things. I've always thought that maybe it's overrated, but let's give it a shot. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm playing on just a 1080p TV, not 4K, and it's already amazing. The graphics are
Dude.
stupid good, and I can only
Dude, I
imagine what
know.
it'd be on a 4K PlayStation, whatever the newest system is.
Yeah,
like,
it's gorgeous because I have a PS4 Pro and I play on my 4K TV. It is absolutely gorgeous, dude.
not only is it gorgeous,
It's so beautiful.
there's no frame rate issues. I've had maybe only
No.
one time where it's dropped for like a second. There has been no bugs. There's been nothing wrong with the game. It is,
I know.
I would say, almost a perfect game, because I did have one super minor complaint, and that is the monsters and the bosses. About 4 hours in, you've already fought all the monsters, and they're just reskins after that. So I would have liked more diversity in the bosses and monsters.
There's a little bit more as you. I don't know exactly how far you are, but
I think I'm getting close to the end, because I'm
wait, what? Wait, how long have you been playing this?
like 2 days. Okay, so I was supposed to work this morning. I was supposed to. Well, I wasn't supposed to. I could
He
kind of.
called out sick.
I don't. I make my own schedule, but I told myself I was gonna work, 6 in the morning today, finish at 10. But I stayed up till like 1 or 2 in the morning playing God of War. It's finally a game that I just can't stop playing because of how good it is. So I'm at the point where I don't want to spoil anything. Trying to remember where I left off. The kid is finally not a douche anymore, and the two dwarves are back together. That's as far as I am right now.
I can't remember exactly where that is in the story, but I do know that happens.
Yeah. I want to say I'm almost done, because we're trying to get to the realm of the giants, and stuff happened, and we missed course. But we're back on track. I think I have another, because I saw that there's about like a 20-hour game, right?
See, that's another one where I don't really know because I explore. See, especially in games like that, like I want to explore every inch of what they put in front of me.
Yeah, because there's not like that much. I mean, it's actually still a really big game.
I mean, there's a lot of side stuff there to do to find certain armor pieces and stuff. Fun fact, I found 100% of the crows in that game.
I only found 2 so far. I'm just bad at
Dude.
these types of game, because there's a bunch of
Dude.
them.
I found every single one except for I think maybe one of them I had to look up, but that was it. Otherwise, by the time I got to the end of the game, I had found literally all of them on my own. Because they make like a crow when you're near one, So when you hear the crow, just start looking around and just be like, there's one.
Uh-huh.
Have you killed any of the witches?
I didn't even know there were witches. See,
Dude, I feel like you don't explore in any of your games.
not really. I don't really want to. Like, if I find it on the way, I'll do it. But like, there's like those treasure chests where you have to hit the 3 urns or pots or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really like to do them because it's just like I have to go out of my way to do it, and like sometimes I'm just like doing it for so long. I'm like, okay, I don't care anymore. Let me. Oh, I was about to say, this is the Zelda
sometimes
game.
there's like sick armor or something.
That's true. This game doesn't
especially in a
feel
game like that where like the armor and stuff really matters. It really does.
I don't think it does. Like it
does.
I've had no issue with just kind of crafting what the dwarves have, and like I don't know. I've always had enough. There's only been one kind of hard part in the game. It's been a very because my brothers were saying it was a really hard game, and I didn't think it was that hard.
I thought it was really hard in the beginning.
The beginning was a little hard.
Like the first boss fight, I died a few times. I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to beat this guy. Like the very first like time where you come across the guy.
Yeah.
It's like the ending of like the opening section.
Yeah, which was so tight, dude.
Yeah.
But this is the Zelda game that I wanted.
Well, I mean, that's totally different though, right? Like that. This is technically an open world game, right?
To an extent,
like God of War
sure.
is technically open world.
Sure.
Like they allow you to go wherever you want once you've like unlocked certain areas. You can just continuously just walk around the whole world and travel and find stuff.
Yeah, I'm just glad they don't have a bowling mini game. Kratos is playing darts.
Hey, Zelda always needs a bowling mini game. Okay, Zelda always comes in with really awesome mini games. So
there wasn't a lot of goop in it, and I'm enjoying every minute of God of War.
Yeah, dude, it was incredible. That would easily be up there on possibly, we don't need to get into this now, but like game of the decade, 100% that's up there on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the gold standard, I would think.
Most places gave it a perfect score. IGN, I know, gave it a 10.
Yeah. I was, yeah. It's such
it was incredible, dude. Yeah, when I first got to it, because I got to it late as well, I was just like, oh my God, like this game is incredible. And the weight of that game, and I know you mentioned this before the podcast, the weight of your character and everything that you do, and like the axe, every time you throw it and catch it back into your hand or hit someone with it, it just feels so good. So good.
So good. It's insane. And yeah, like I actually forgot to bring that up, but when I was playing Dragon Age Inquisition, like the character almost just feels like it's levitating, and you're not really even like, it's just unrealistic. You're super fast, and like you don't feel like you're actually on the ground, and your character doesn't feel like it has any weight. And that kind of irritates me in some games. And so God of War did such a good job of just making you feel like you're controlling this character. You are this character. I felt like Kratos.
100% agree. But not just the character, the weapon too.
Oh my God, yeah, the weapon. God.
Like they find so many good ways to use the axe. And then like just when you're like, oh, there's no more combos that I'll be able to know. Like you just like keep looking down the screen for like future moves that you'll learn how to do, and it's just like, oh man.
And everything's just so perfectly timed, because I was getting like, okay, like things are getting a little repetitive. I hope they kind of spice it up. And as soon as I started having that thought, they added a new thing, and I don't want to spoil it, but it just added a whole different layer to the game, and it was so good. Unless I can spoil it. I don't know if we're making it spoil free, or it's been out for a while now.
Oh man, I kind of want to talk about it.
I'm going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it.
All right, we're going to talk about it. Spoiler alert: if you haven't played God of War yet, or you're going to talk about God of War, or going to play God of War, skip this next section. Let's give it the next 5 minutes or so. So skip ahead forward to like the 35-minute mark. If you don't want spoilers. All right, you've been warned. Go, Elek.
You've been warned. So Jolie's been watching me play it, and she's watching it like it's a movie. And when this whole entire scene and interaction was happening, when he had to get his next weapon, and he knew it was coming.
Oh my god, dude!
Beautiful.
Dude, I didn't. I didn't know it was coming.
You didn't?
Dude, because you spend so much time using the axe that, like, honestly, I was like, okay, this is his new weapon.
Yeah.
I was just like, this is what they decided to give him now, and he no longer has those. Literally didn't even cross my mind at all. People did such a good job of not spoiling that too. I was really glad that no pictures of that like came out with him using those.
Trailers were so good.
Yeah, dude. And then you just go back there one day, and like when he was just like, okay, I need to go get this. I was just like, huh.
Yeah, when she was like go back home, and I'm like, uh-oh. Well, what are we getting here? And then she was like, go back to your roots and stuff. And I was like, oh, and I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, dude, same. I was just like, oh my god, do not tell me this is gonna happen. And like he rips up the floorboard and grabs this thing. I was just like, no. And then he opens it up and you just see them there. I'm just like, no way. I was just like, is this really happening? I was like, please be like legit and not just be like some fake out or something like that. And then you actually put them on, and then like it's all dark outside with like all this like red sky stuff going on, and you just start unleashing your like old weapon. I'm just like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, I was afraid it was just going to be for like that one moment, but no, like that's your new weapon.
Yeah, you actually get to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when I started using it, Julie was just like, "Wait, why couldn't you use this the whole time? It's so much better." It's such a good weapon
because he's trying to be a new person and not go back to what he used to be. And
yeah.
Plus, like, it was just such an awesome reveal of like, hey, just when you think that like the axe is all you're going to be doing, and they did a really good job of making it so like once you do get that weapon, it's not the only weapon that you want to use. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
there's certain monsters that are better elemental wise, and even just like ranged. Like if there's somebody who's shooting from afar, I usually use my axe to throw it because I don't really like to throw the sword that much. But if it's a bunch of like smaller enemies ganging up on you, then I like to switch to the swords.
Yeah, and then I love the I forget what they're called, but like the special moves where you like hit both triggers at the same time.
Oh, like the
like I'd have the one where
execution.
Yeah, I'd have the ones where like you take both of them and then like you just fly them up and then you just like smash them down like side by side. And then it's like at the end where they hit, it just like shoots up like a pile of like lava. Oh my god, dude.
So
sick.
What else was I gonna say about that?
I honestly don't think like when I was playing that game, like every single like area that I'd go to, every time you like acquire something new or learn a new thing, you're just like, oh my god, like the game is amazing.
It's rich.
And they're just like you were saying, there's no technical issues.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
I want to say that
game was just like from a technological standpoint, it was perfect. I don't think I noticed anything wrong with like any glitches and stuff. And when I'm sitting here playing through Star Wars, there's like visual glitches and stuff all over the place, or like you're standing in mud and your character is like literally inside of the mud instead of you like being above it, you know? Right. So like you're like merging into the stuff, and it kind of like just takes you out of the game. That game, God of War, was just flawless.
Yeah, if you showed me God of War now and I've never seen it before and you said that was a PS5 game, I would believe it. I wouldn't have thought that would have been a PS4 game.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
The only game I could think that's similar in that aspect is probably Red Dead 2. When I was playing it, like I didn't really enjoy it, but it was a beautiful game. And I had the kind of same feel.
I've heard on Xbox One X that Red Dead is like the best looking game like of all time.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, dude, I'm glad you finally got around to playing it.
Me too, dude. I don't know why I waited so long, and I have the God of War.
I told you, and dude, even on Black Friday, you could have got it for $10.
Yeah, I should have gotten it.
I was telling you, man. I was like, you got to play this game.
Yeah. I have the God of War 3 remastered, so I think I'm going to play that after I beat this. And just like
totally different though.
Yeah. I'm pretty pumped to see the big difference, because like I remember playing the first one, and I didn't really like it because all you were doing is just pressing X the whole time, or square or whatever the attack button was. Just a button masher.
But
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why it's so cool, though, right? Is that they took a game that
they reinvented
had
it.
such a one-dimensional character, right? Like
Hmm.
all he is like an angry god that kills people, and you're like, okay, cool. Like he wasn't like that game. You only play it for action purposes. You don't play it because you're like super invested in Kratos or anything like that.
Right.
He's
You
just a
want to see him
one-dimensional
just
guy.
murder things.
And with this new one, they completely. Also, welcome back anyone that skipped the spoiler stuff. Don't worry, no spoilers from here on out.
Yeah.
Um, the character was completely reinvented, 100%. Like he's not remotely close to the Kratos that you knew before, and like they actually give him, a personality, a backstory, a kid, a wife, and you start to care about someone that you had no emotions for, like not even remotely close to having emotions for previously.
Yeah, dude, I thought he was my father. Like this,
Seriously, dude, like they did such a good job, and like just watching the dynamic of adding a kid as well,
just
it
all the
was just
characters.
really cool seeing him. Yeah, all the characters are great, but like the dynamic between Kratos and the boy was
Boy.
just so good, and the boy does turn into a douchebag
Yeah, it was that part was a
for a little bit of
little
time.
interesting because I felt like he became a kid and then turned into a teenager overnight.
Well,
And
that's what it
it
kind
makes
of was,
sense.
because like he is a young kid who doesn't have any friends. He's growing up in the middle of nowhere and basically only had his parents,
Hmm.
and all he has, like, he obviously doesn't know who he is or what his dad really was because they've been keeping it a secret. So, like, just once he learns, he you see how much of a teenager he really is because he takes it as a oh I'm better than everybody else thing,
Yeah.
which is what a typical teenager would do. It's like when a kid is like really rich or something, and it's like, oh yeah, well, I have all this money and I'm richer than you are. It was kind of that same thing. The moment that he got the power or knew that he had the power, then he was just like, oh, I'm more powerful than anyone else, and no one can stop me, so it doesn't matter. I can
Yeah.
do whatever I want.
It got so annoying because like he'll just trigger enemies that I didn't want triggered yet or whatever. And I'm just like, no, stop, stop. That's wrong. Although he is a very useful partner
Yeah,
to have in the game, especially
yeah.
later in the
He
game.
was yeah, he was the first thing that I started to upgrade. I was just like, oh, he can like shoot arrows for me and like help me out with other people. It's like, yeah, sure,
Yeah,
I'll do that.
just
Like that
stun
that
him.
was another way of back when we were talking about BioShock, I said how much I liked Elizabeth in that game because she actually like was useful and really helped you out by giving
Yeah,
you like health packs and stuff and ammo. That's what I felt here with it with the boy. It's Atreus, right?
Atreus. Yeah,
Yeah, with Atreus, like um, he actually helps you out. He's not just like this annoying character that's getting in your way and stuff like that. He actually helps you, and you can upgrade him as well, and that was really cool.
yeah, um, yeah. I blown away
And then
by
all the
that game.
armor sets and stuff
Blown
were really
away.
cool. All the different types of armor that you can come across, and how it upgrades your character
I felt
and
like that
whatnot.
was kind
There's a
of
really cool set. I don't know if you're there yet, but there's a really cool set later on where there are like some trials you got to go through.
yeah. I haven't done any of that. Um, I felt like that was the whole upgrading armor and stuff. I felt like that was a little unnecessary. I don't think they really needed to do that, but I'm okay with it.
Why would it be bad?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just an extra, I guess, layer. Um, yeah, I don't
I mean,
know.
you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I think it's definitely great because you can just be like, oh, I'm just going to upgrade my
Yeah, there was a
current armor, and if I can't find anything else.
there was a lot of customization in that aspect because if you like to just kind of smash things with your normal attacks, you don't really need to worry about your special abilities if you don't want to. For me, it was almost all about Atreus. I just have him shock everybody, and then I just smack him with my R1, and that's pretty much it.
I can't remember. Are there difficulties in God of War?
There is, yeah.
Or is
I'm just playing on
there are? It's
normal.
not just like Okay, I can't remember because I know there's a new game plus afterwards.
Does it change anything, or is it just play through the game again, just stronger?
You play through the game again, I believe, with most of your
Stuff.
armor and stuff like carrying over,
Uh-huh.
and then the enemies are more difficult. And I think it might add like one extra difficulty to certain enemies or something. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while, but a lot of people loved it because it was another excuse to get back into the game. For anybody who has beaten the game, and for Elek as well, when he eventually does beat the game, after you beat the game, go back to your house.
Yeah, okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I heard about. I don't know what happens, but
Yeah,
I've heard about
yeah.
going back to your house.
After you beat the game, it kind of just ends and doesn't tell you anything. But there is a secret ending if you go back to the house.
Ooh.
Which I found on my own. I was randomly just like, well, I'm done with everything. I guess I'll go home now. Like, I'm just literally like one of those guys. I'm just like, all right, I'll just take my characters back home. And then I randomly like run into a separate ending. I was freaking out because I had no idea it was going to happen. I just randomly went there. I didn't look online or anything. That was just like, oh, you got to do this afterwards. So I was just like freaking out, like, no way, what is happening right now? And it's just like, what? It's really sick.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah. So super, super amazing game. Awesome game.
Yeah. Do you think? Well, I don't know if it's gonna end up spoiling. Do you think next gen we could see God of War 2 sequel to this one on the next gen as a launch title?
I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. I don't think it would launch. No, I think that they'd take their time with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any God of War is launching. I wouldn't doubt it if, in their PS5 official unveiling, they show
They
a
say it's
clip.
gonna come.
Yeah, or show a short clip or something of like, oh, here's a new God of War. But I think it would say, 2021 or something. It's at least another year away.
I mean, honestly, that alone plus Uncharted, it's gonna make me stay with the PlayStation, not switch over to the Xbox.
I mean, it's
And especially
all
with the
different,
news. I know it's
but
different, but especially with the news. I don't know if you want to talk about that now with the Xbox.
okay, yeah, you know what? Let's just switch into that now. So with I think on Monday or so it was, some news came out that the new Xbox line, the new Xbox Series X, won't have any exclusive games for the first year, and that all the games that come out on the Xbox Series X will also be out on the current Xbox One consoles.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
So I'm conflicted on this one. I totally get why they're doing it, 100%.
Explain to me why it makes sense, because it doesn't make any sense to me.
So if you've noticed with any of the stuff that Microsoft has been doing with the Xbox brand lately, it's about being able to play their games in the most like available way possible.
Uh-huh.
So whether you're at home or they're doing the xCloud thing so you can play your games away from home, or if you have PC now, all the Xbox exclusives also come out on PC. So then you got Games Pass where you can just download all these games, wherever you are with an internet connection if you have your console. So they're trying to do this thing where people, if you want to play a game, it's much easier to play it instead of going, oh, you got to get this and then you got to do that, and this is the only way to get this game. They're trying to make games more accessible to more people. So if you take the Xbox One series, or sorry, not the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X, and you're launching it, and you say, okay, here are some games that are coming out, but it's only on that, it greatly lowers the audience that it's going to play those games in the beginning. Because especially since this console is rumored to be pretty expensive. I'm assuming they'll release a cheaper version as well. But just going off of the Series X for now, because that's all we have confirmation of.
Right.
If this console is, $500-$600, a lot of people aren't going to be able to make that jump immediately. They're not. I'm just being fair, and Microsoft is acknowledging this. The Series X is a premium console that's expensive, and they're marketing it that way, and they want it to be that way. So until they come out with like a newer version that's also cheaper, the average person can afford a $200 or $250 Xbox One S currently, as opposed to a $500 to $600 top of the line Xbox. So if you're looking at like this year, Halo is coming out, and that's coming out on the same day that the Series X is coming out. So, and they've already said that Halo Infinite was going to be on Xbox One as well, because they announced that game. Series X was even announced, and it's kind of like a Zelda thing, how Zelda came out on the Switch, but they also still put it out on the Wii U, because that's what it was originally supposed to come out on. Mm-hmm. So they were just being fair and nice to their fans.
Right.
And that's what Microsoft is doing with Halo as well, but now it turns out they're doing it with all their games. And again, I think it's because this console is going to be so expensive that they want people to slowly be able to approach that and still get their games that they want to play now, and not just immediately have like a hard line of, okay, you're done, you're not going to get any more games, and now you have to move on to the next console if you want to get that. So I think that because of that, they may suffer in terms of some hardware sales, and they might sell less Xbox Series X's. But the games that are going to come out will sell more copies overall because of that, and more people will be able to play those games and have stories to tell about them.
I do think that there's, like, me now as somebody who doesn't have an Xbox, I don't see any reason to make the switch now. Why would I switch over to an Xbox if there's gonna be no exclusives? Like, isn't that big?
For the same reason why I upgraded from an original Xbox One to an Xbox One X. It plays games way better and in 4K, and they look a lot better and they perform better.
But again, I could get.
I'm still playing overall the same game.
But I could get the PS4 Pro, and that does the same thing as the Xbox XX. What I'm saying is,
why they already have the Xbox One X right now. So in terms of power, it would go Xbox One S, Xbox One X, and then Xbox Series X.
Right, so it's just more power.
But you're getting more than just the games. You're getting the whole console itself, right? Like just the switch to solid state drive and all of this stuff, you'll be able to play games in 4K 60 with instant load times. You can't do that on any of the other Xboxes.
Right. But here's the thing though, is you're not convincing me, a PlayStation owner, to get this new system. You're convincing people that already have, the money that they could afford the new, better system to just upgrade. You're not enticing a new consumer base. So I don't see anybody other than people who already have an Xbox and have money to spend on a new Xbox to get it. So you're not increasing your audience.
I wouldn't say that, because you can still get people over by, like, people who have up until now been like, oh man, this Xbox Series X looks sick. I don't see how this changes anything.
Because those people are just people who already have an Xbox. You're not enticing anybody who's a PlayStation user to go, oh, I should make the switch now because there's a cool system. Like, PlayStation's going to have a cool new system too. And you don't have the exclusives to go with it. PlayStation's probably going to have some exclusives.
But it does, see, that's the thing, right? Is that they are still exclusive. Just because it's on other consoles doesn't mean it's not an exclusive. You still can't play Halo on a PlayStation. You're not going to.
I know. And
that's
again,
still an exclusive.
A PlayStation owner, if that's the only reason to switch over to Xbox, you're not going to do it. People who have a PlayStation isn't going to make the jump to an Xbox just because of Halo. Especially if they've never played Halo before, because there's other shooters to play. So where's the incentive to do the switch?
Well, now you're just getting into an aspect of what games that Microsoft has as opposed to the console, though.
But again, PlayStation's going to have a console that's going to be just as good as the next Xbox.
But it's not. So
it will.
the Xbox The Xbox Series X is going to be the most powerful console.
I think PlayStation is going to come out with a console almost identical to the Xbox. It's been happening. It's been the same every year for the, I don't know, since
it's going to be identical. It's going to be or it's not identical. It's going to be very similar in terms of like solid state drive and stuff like that. But the Xbox Series X will be better. I guarantee you.
I think,
and that goes back to what I was talking, or what we had with the specs leak that we were talking about. So, in that specs leak, the PS5 is reportedly going to have 9.2 teraflops of GPU. Okay. A regular PS4 has 1.84 teraflops. So the PS5 is going to have 9.2.
Yeah, that's a big
jump.
The
next generation is going to be a massive jump.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. And even if you're like, okay, I can play the next Halo on the current Xbox instead of upgrading to the Xbox Series X, it's going to run way better on the Xbox Series X. Like, it's not even going to be a close comparison. If you had them running side by side, like, you're still going to get your 900p 30 frame per second on the original Xbox One, or on the Xbox Series X, it's going to be native 4K 60 with no load times.
And I get that, but that's, again, making the upgrade from the Xbox One to the new system. Why should a PlayStation owner who has the PS4, the regular one, just get the new PlayStation? Because it's going to be about the same. It was the same when the Xbox One and PS4 came out. Like, there was such a minor difference that it didn't matter which system you end up getting. It just depends on the exclusives that you want to play. And that's going to happen again.
That's the consoles in general. I don't think that's a knock on the systems in any way. That's just which exclusive that they have. And this console war has been going on for, the beginning of time of, okay, which console's better because, we have this game. And then the other fanboys go, yeah, well, we have this game and you guys don't get it. And it's just all this nonsense fighting of, what you get to play. And I agree in the sense that Sony has definitely had the better single player games recently. They've invested more in these awesome single player experiences, where Microsoft has typically been better in terms of shooters and just kind of those like action, shooter games. That's what Microsoft has more so been.
Yeah, what Microsoft has been good at is being able to play just about any game on their system, and they're really good at backwards compatibility. But if you don't already have an Xbox and you don't already have a library filled with Xbox games, there is no reason to make that jump from PlayStation to Xbox, and there's no reason for a new consumer to go, you know what, I think the Xbox is going to be better than the PlayStation. I'll get an Xbox instead of the PlayStation.
Well, to be fair, we still haven't seen anything from Microsoft of what's launching with this console. So while the games might not be exclusive, we don't know what they're actually launching with it. So for all we know, Microsoft has 10 incredible games that are coming out at the end of this year and will be on this console.
Sure, but it's going to be on the PlayStation. What's going to happen is the PlayStation is going to come out roughly around the same time as the Xbox. All the games that Xbox is going to come out with is going to be on the new PlayStation system. But PlayStation is going to have...
Not exclusives, though.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Hold on. Maybe you've been misunderstanding this. The games are still exclusive to Xbox. They're not coming out on PlayStation.
Okay. So, but you're saying it's going to be exclusive. It's not going to be exclusive to that system. It's going to be exclusive.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
There's still Xbox exclusives.
Right.
100%. You can't play them on PlayStation at all. It's 100% exclusive to the Xbox. It's just not exclusive to specifically the Series X.
Okay, gotcha.
So when Halo comes out at the launch night, if you don't want to purchase the new console, you don't have to. You can still purchase the new Halo for your current Xbox One, and you can still play it.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
So it will. Yeah. Okay. So when you said that, I was like, wait, maybe you have the wrong interpretation of this.
Yeah.
So Xbox still has exclusive games. 100%. It's just exclusive to the whole family of Xbox systems, not just that one specific console.
Right. Okay, that
That's
makes
why I
more
was saying
sense.
that
Yeah,
they're just trying to make it so people don't immediately, right when a new console comes out, get shut off and their system becomes obsolete. That was what they were trying to say.
that makes more sense. Because I
Yeah.
could see somebody
Whereas,
saying, I'm not gonna shit out $500 for the new system with no new exclusives. Let me just get that Xbox One S for $200. Play that
yeah,
Halo.
that's what I was saying. The
Uh
average
huh.
person isn't going to be able to immediately day one afford, a $500 to $600 Xbox plus games on top of that and stuff. Whereas if they already have an Xbox, they can still play those games for a couple of years, and then, maybe by then the prices of the new consoles have come down a little bit, or now they're ready to upgrade because they've been able to save up some more money. But yeah, 100%, they're still exclusives.
So
The
now
games
I'm
aren't
wondering,
all they're not all games that are coming out like multi-platform.
right? I'm wondering if this is going to be the end of the console wars then, because if PlayStation does something similar, there's no reason to pick one over the other. You could, instead of buying that one mega system, you get the cheaper versions of all three systems. Nintendo has the Lite. You get a PS4 or Pro, and then you get an Xbox One. Each of them $200.
I mean,
That's $600. Instead of one system, you have three systems with different exclusives.
yeah, you definitely can, but it's not going to be permanent that way.
Right.
So I think they said for the first year or two, you'll get games still on your Xbox One. But eventually, the games will move into Xbox Series X games. And
Right.
again, my guess is that they also unveil like a smaller console that's not as expensive, but has like uh, 4 teraflops or 4.5 teraflops or something like that,
The
where
fuck
it's
is a
still easy
teraflop?
for. So it has to do with like the graphical processing.
Okay. Kind of like RAM.
And I think it's more so how much the GPU can process, um,
Okay. Not how much, but how quickly.
stuff like that.
Uh huh.
And essentially, the bigger the better. The bigger
Kind
the
of like
numbers, the better.
gigahertz, I guess, in a
Um,
processor on a computer.
yeah, although that can be deceiving because you can have a lower gigahertz processor that's still better than a higher one because it has multiple cores and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, but um, but yeah, so think of it like the PS4. The current PS4 is pretty good. That's 1.84 teraflops. The PS5 will reportedly be 9.2.
So
Like
yeah.
that's a huge upgrade, like massive. Um, so yeah, I'm glad we cleared that up. So there will be exclusive games that are only on the Xbox. Microsoft isn't suddenly like releasing Halo on everything.
Yeah. See, my interpretation was they're just not releasing any new Xbox games
No, no, no,
exclusive
no.
to to any of the systems. I thought, new system comes out, there's no new Halo. I'm like, really? No new Halo? But okay, that
Well,
makes
this
sense. There's
this
gonna
is
be.
this is the first time that an Xbox is launching with a Halo game since the original Xbox.
Oh.
So very exciting. But it's kind of like right when the Switch came out, it launched with Breath of the Wild, but it wasn't a Switch exclusive because it still came out on the Wii U.
What happened to that Rome game that came out with the Xbox One? What
Rise.
game? Rise.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I was going through my achievements and I saw it pop up. I really liked the game. Um, it was gorgeous because that was like the main technical powerhouse of like the next gen consoles when that came out. And that was like if you want to see like what next gen console games look like that was the game that you wanted to play. It was
It was
beautiful.
almost,
Like
yeah,
when
it
I
was like a
played that,
tech demo.
well, it was more than that, but like it seemed like that
Yeah.
because of how gorgeous it was. That was one of those games where like when you see when you want to show people why they should get a next gen console, that was the game that you show them because you're just like, this is the most beautiful game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it was when I first played it. I actually thought it was pretty fun, and I thought a lot of the areas were cool. And it's not too long of a game, so you can get through it pretty quickly. It's just that the combat stays the exact same and never progresses.
Right. It was just a kind of boring, not boring, but just,
It gets repetitive,
yeah.
and you don't learn any new moves or get new weapons or anything like that. It's just once you learn the initial bit of moves in like the first level or two, then it's just the same thing the rest of the game.
But it's interesting though, because Uncharted is the same way. It's like the first hour you kind of know everything in terms of you don't get anything new in
Yeah,
Uncharted.
but it also depends on how fun the combat is to start off with.
Combat sucks in Uncharted.
I
I
agree.
hate the
It's not
combat.
that great. They improved it a lot with Uncharted 4.
Definitely,
They
that
made
was
it
the most
flow a
fun.
lot better.
That's
Um,
that's the thing. Like I was like, oh man, I wish they made an Uncharted game that was actually fun to play, that had a good combat. And then I play God of War. I'm like, this is the game.
yeah. Well, that's why I think you should go back and play The Last of Us again.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, you should try playing through that again.
I'll try
Because
it.
I know you said you found it boring in the beginning, and you're talking about how you currently want a storyline from A to B that's just a really good storyline. Go
Mhm.
back and play The Last of Us.
I'll try it.
And see, now this is what I want Xbox to do. I want Xbox to have a game that's like God of War or like
Last
The
of
Last of
Us.
Us.
Yeah, now
That's
I'm thinking
just
there's so many good story-driven
it's super yeah.
exclusives on the
And
PlayStation.
that's what I was saying. I think that's what Sony is best at currently is just awesome first person games.
hmm
They focus on them really well and they tend to perform very well. And Xbox does have a new studio that they formed, I think last year, and they claim like the highest you go right now is like a triple A studio. They claim it's a quadruple A studio. And I'm not making that up. Like that's what they call it as. And they hired a ton of huge people from like all these major like studios and they stuck them all in this one studio. And supposedly they're making some crazy game that's supposed to be incredible. It's going to be obviously an Xbox exclusive. It's one of their newest studios.
It's called
So,
Rise 2.
so I'm super excited to see what they're working on, but I think whatever they're working on is pretty far off because it was a brand new studio and then they got to think of something awesome and then they got to make sure that it's actually awesome. So
hmm
um, I'm very excited to see what that turns into, but I think that's a direct response from Microsoft for literally The Last of Us and God of War. I
Right.
think they see those games and they recognize that they're like masterpiece games and they want to have that as well. And it's not to say that their other exclusives aren't really good, but they want like that
Yeah, Halo can
incredible.
carry the whole system or their whole brand. It can't just be Halo.
Well, that's what they're launching off of, and I'm super
Right.
excited for the next Halo because I think, and I think Microsoft
Nintendo.
is using this not only to like promote the next Xbox, but also to reinvent Halo itself. And
Right.
they want Halo again to be like what Call of Duty has become. Because first it was Halo, right? Where it's like, hey, you want a shooter game, you got to get Halo. Halo's the best shooter. You know, it was if you didn't play video games and you're a mom, you knew what Halo was. Like that was how big it was. And then
Yeah.
Call of Duty 4 came out, Modern Warfare, and just that game took off and Call of Duty has been at the top ever since. And that's not to say that Halo still hasn't kept up because it's still very popular,
Right.
especially with the Master Chief Collection. But Call of Duty is clearly like the number one thing. So I think with this, I think Halo, they're trying to reinvent the brand, and I'm very happy with the trailers and stuff that they've shown off with it so far. And it looks like they're kind of going back to basics, but they built an entirely new engine for the game and everything. And I'm super excited to see how this plays on like the new one. And like that for me, like if I'm going to play Halo, right, which is one of my favorite franchises, that and Zelda. If I'm going to play that game, I don't want to play it in a way that I know I'm not getting the best experience out of that. Like
Right.
I know that this game could look better. I know it could perform better. I know I could be doing it at a faster frame rate. I know that because of all this, it has really long load times, and if I had a new one, I wouldn't have to do these load times. And I just want the best experience I can get out of that. And you know that's why I'm almost definitely going to be a day one purchase because I want to play Halo when it comes out in the best way possible.
Right.
Um, but as of right now, that's the only game that we know is launching with the Xbox Series X. We don't know any other exclusives yet, and I think that's what E3 is for. They're just going to just unload everything and
I
just
mean,
be
we
like,
could expect the standard, New sports games, Call of
Well, yeah,
Duty,
of course. You're going to
Assassin's
get the new
Creed.
Call of Duty on it, and all those third-party ones just ported over to it for sure.
Right.
But I'm excited to see like what they come out with guns blazing, because Microsoft Studios and a lot of Sony studios, both of them have been like pretty quiet lately, and you have to assume it's because
They're
they're
prepping.
working up games for the next consoles. Whether they're going to launch with the consoles or not, I'm not sure, because you got to keep some stuff back to release it a little bit later,
Yeah. And
so it's not just everything up front.
I forgot an exclusive territory for Sony. Like they got Bloodborne, and I think we could see a Bloodborne 2 easily on the new system.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure. They do have Neo 2 coming out
I don't give a
March,
shit.
I think. I mean, it's kind of similar.
Yeah, a little bit.
But see, this is the thing, right? It's crazy that all these games are coming out right before the big consoles are coming out. So we'll get into that with the delays. But I want to just mention the stats real quick for the next console. So the PS5 is the one that's more of a mystery still.
Right.
Xbox has been like slowly giving us some information, whereas Sony's been pretty quiet for the most part. So supposedly the PS5 is going to make the switch to GDDR6 memory, where I think it's GDDR4 in the current consoles. So a little bit faster memory. And it says these were rumors, by the way. But I tend to trust these rumors a bit more than the average rumor, because they were from Digital Foundry, and they are pretty legit. And they tend to not post stuff unless they genuinely think that it's, factual. So it says its GPU is going to be 36 custom Navi compute units at 2,000 megahertz, and the PS4 Pro uses the same number of compute units, but at 911 megahertz. So the PS5 is going to be at 2,000, and it goes on to say that the GPU will have backwards compatibility to work with PS4 games.
Thank God.
Um,
I mean, God damn it.
yeah. Just if that turns out to not be true, it's just going to be like, come on, guys. Like, what have you not learned?
Yeah.
That people want to bring their games over, especially like as games like start to roll out, like if you get a PS5, right? And let's say, for whatever reason, you play Call of Duty and that's the game that you play, and they decide that Call of Duty isn't coming out until like April, the new one.
Mm-hmm.
So now you get a PS5, so you don't use your PS4 anymore, but you have now no way to play Call of Duty online with your friends.
Yeah.
Like, you have the new console, why can't you play older games on that console? So I really hope that they do follow through with that, because Xbox has been great with that.
It's not even the disc that's the issue. Like if they're like, hey, you have to like buy it from our market, that's fine. It's just I have so many games on the PS3 as well that I just bought that I can't play. And it's like, come on.
Yeah,
to buy it
just
again?
makes them worthless.
Yeah.
Like,
Come
that's what I
on.
hated with the Switch. And like, obviously that's a huge difference, because like it's going from a disc-based console to a cartridge-based console. So
I get
it kind of makes
but
sense that you
why
can't
is it
do that.
the games that you bought online transfer over,
Yeah. We'll see. On the Wii U, you could use it with Wii games, but there was literally an app on the Wii U home menu that was called Wii, and when you click on it, it would reboot the whole console
as a Wii.
as a Wii.
And I'm totally
So
okay
it was
with that.
it was literally them putting
Porting.
a whole Wii console on the hard drive, essentially, as well as a Wii U console.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. If that's the solution, I'm okay with it. Just give me my
It is
games.
weird when you think about it, how like the old consoles, it used to be kind of like a common sense thing. Like, it would work pretty easily. Technically, I think the Wii U is the only Nintendo console that was backwards compatible, not including the DS and the Game Boy, not
No,
including their handheld line.
Wii, you could play GameCube games.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You could. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so aside from
Huh.
those two, because like the Super Nintendo had an attachment that you could get where you could play NES games.
Did it?
It did. It was like this big brick.
Hold on, was it an official Nintendo accessory though, or was it
It
like
could have been a
party
third party. It could have been a third party. I don't actually really remember.
Because I don't recall that. I do know that there was a disc thing with the N64 because Sony and Nintendo were trying to partner.
Right.
And then I think it was Nintendo buying Sony or Sony buying Nintendo, and they were going to merge their consoles, and then it didn't work out. So the thing never ended up coming out. But it was if you look at the bottom of the N64, there's always been this clip that pops out with a port,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never been used for anything. And that was supposed to be so you could attach it on top of a disk drive. And then you would put Sony discs inside of there and you would play disc games because disc games were supposed to be the future instead of cartridges.
Right.
And it never ended up coming out. There are like a few of them and they're super rare and expensive if you find one, or you can get one on eBay or something, because like they never actually like mass produced them. So they only have like the ones that they built for demos and stuff like that.
Right.
But anyways, so getting back to the stats. Let's see here. For the Xbox One X, they say that it is targeting, the Xbox Series X, the GPU is targeting 12 teraflops.
Yeah, that's a lot of flops.
Whereas the PS5 is 9.2. And the current Xbox One, the PS5 is targeting supposedly 9.2 teraflops.
Oh. Well, these
and
are
the
just...
Xbox Series X is going to be 12.
And that one's confirmed.
I believe so. I believe Microsoft has mostly come out and said that they're hitting 12 teraflops.
Okay, so come on, Sony. Let's see what you got.
So that's what I was saying. Like, even if you're like, okay, both of these consoles are the best of their versions, the Xbox Series X is going to be the most powerful console, and that's what they're using for their marketing. They're just trying to push, if you want to play console games, this is the best way that you're going to be able to play them. And that's what their marketing is with the Xbox One X, right? It's the best way to play Xbox games, and it's the best way to play third-party games. Because even though the PS4 is more powerful than the Xbox One, the Xbox One X is more powerful than the PS4 Pro.
Yeah, but again, we gotta wait to see what PlayStation actually says. PlayStation could easily just say, "Hey, don't spend all this money on this system. We have a cheap system that's, it's good. It's not gonna be the greatest, but it's cheaper."
Yeah, and I think it will be cheaper, which is where, the second version of the Xbox would come in. And I think that second version of the new Xbox would be cheaper than the regular PS5.
But have you seen the leaks on what they think the PS5 will look like, or the what are they called?
They've shown the someone, I think the other day was cleaning one and took a picture of it, the demo.
Yeah. It makes me feel like
I'm blanking on the name of it, but it looks. I'm not the biggest fan of how it looks, but take that with a grain of salt. I think that is a legit version of it, but that's not at all how it's going to look in person.
Right.
That's just for packaging purposes.
Now, do you think, because I really don't see PlayStation coming up with a system that's going to be weaker than the Xbox, do you think this is going to be PlayStation's attempt to say, hey, here's a system, you can get it for $300, whatever. If he wants to shut out $200 more, you could get an attachment that will be an upgrade to the system. Do you see that ever happening again? Do you see it maybe even happening now for the PS5?
I don't know if people like attachments like that. I think what I am assuming right now is that I think the PS5 is going to be like the middle ground. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have the top of the line Xbox, which is the most powerful out of all of them. Then you'll have a lower end Xbox, which is still more powerful than any of the consoles now, but it's the cheapest way to get into like the next generation. And then you're going to have one version of the PS5 that's just like perfectly in the middle. I think
mean,
that's because I think for price point, I think that's what Sony's going to do. They're going to come in at the perfect price point
yeah,
to begin with, where you still feel like you're getting a premium product, but it's not too premium to where you're being priced out of it, which is what
yeah,
they probably assume that Microsoft is doing. They're like, hey, they're putting out a faster, more powerful product than we are, but they're probably going to come in at $100 more than us, at least. But I think Xbox is also going to announce a cheaper one. So
yeah. It's gonna be
I don't know.
interesting. Yeah, it's.
It will be interesting. I'm
I don't
I'm
think
not
has that
entirely
ever
sure yet.
happened with PlayStation and Xbox. I feel like it's always been kind of like they've always been the same. Spec wise, they've always
I
been
mean,
kind of
I
the
don't
same.
think the specs were always that big of a deal, but I think they were there. Like
Mhm.
especially since we were like younger when the PS3 and Xbox 360 were coming out and stuff like that. Like the GameCube was very powerful when it came out. People forget about that. The GameCube was super powerful, and the original Xbox was very powerful too. The PS2 is by far the least powerful one, and that didn't really matter much because the GameCube by far sold the least amount of consoles that year or
Right.
throughout that generation. Um, then you move to the PS3 and the Xbox 360. The PS3 was the more powerful console. They had the better tech. They had Blu-ray. They were doing all that stuff, but it was super expensive.
Yeah.
So just no one cared. And the Xbox 360 dominated that entire lifespan until, later on, once they came out with like the PS3 Slims and stuff like that and dropped the price to like $200. And then they ended that life cycle pretty even. And then this one, I think it would be much more even if Microsoft didn't totally screw up the launch of the console.
Yeah.
They
The whole
totally
Connect
screwed up the
thing
whole launch. Yeah.
threw
And
it
because
off.
of that launch, I knew a ton of people on Facebook and stuff and like friends on Xbox Live that bought PlayStation 4s instead of sticking with Xbox just because it was cheaper.
Hmm.
And they were like, I want the new console, but I don't want this Connect thing. And then people were afraid that like cameras and microphones were
Yeah.
always on in your house and stuff, which is funny, right? Because if you were to go back now, none of that stuff would be a big deal because everyone has like an Alexa or some type of voice device in their house that's always listening to them.
Yeah.
So I honestly, if you go back to what the original vision of the Xbox One was supposed to be, I thought it was pretty cool. But I guess maybe
I
I'm in
think
the
it was too
minority because
ambitious still for its time. Definitely
I
now.
I agree. If they were to release that now, without like the Connect thing, right? Like just make it so like the Xbox has a built-in microphone so you can talk to it and say like turn on and open this game and stuff like that. Or hey, like start a chat with Elek. Like that would be really cool stuff. I just think that the way they went around with it and charging you an extra, $100 for this camera that didn't work very well, that was the issue. And
Yeah.
had they made that work and at a cheaper price point, I think it would have been okay. And if they were to redo that launch today, literally the exact same launch, I think it would play out a lot better.
Hmm.
But they made mistakes with the launch and they've been trying to catch up ever since. So they're trying to fix that with this next one, where they have literally been saying for years now what their next console is going to perform like.
Hmm.
So, um, yeah, so Series X is looking pretty powerful, and I'm excited for it.
I'm excited
Let's
to
see.
just see
What
what's
was.
gonna happen. Um, just in general, yeah, the whole console wars, and we haven't heard anything from PlayStation in a while.
Yeah, I'm excited for Sony too. So let's get into that. Sony skipping E3 again this year.
I'm not surprised.
And I'm not surprised either because once they skipped last year, I just feel like,
Why would they come back after they skipped
yeah,
this? Yeah.
I don't think they're going to come back. And Nintendo is obviously the first company to do this,
Hmm.
which is probably the most disappointing for me because Nintendo was the one that like I loved the most
Yeah.
in terms of E3. Like there's nothing more exciting than a new Zelda announcement. And you just like hear the whole crowd just screaming in the background, freaking out. I still remember when Twilight Princess was unveiled at E3. I was watching that live and I was like, oh my God. Like it was everything that I wanted at the time. I was like, finally, like a realistic looking Zelda. It looks sick. And you get those reactions that everybody else has at the same time. And you're just like, oh my God. Whereas when you watch the Nintendo Direct, you're sitting there by yourself freaking out, but there's no experience, you know?
Yeah, I kind of do
Unless
miss
you invite
that.
a friend. Unless you invite a friend over, you're like, oh, hey, what's up, dude? All right, we're going to watch the Direct together. Like, there's that. But the excitement that you could feel in the audience, and you just know that like everybody loved that announcement. I really like that. And you don't get any of that with these Direct type stuff. I will say that the Directs are very easy, and it's much better to control what's going on.
Yeah.
Because E3 and another Zelda announcement, when they were showing off Skyward Sword, I think it was Miyamoto. He was up there, you know, cute old Miyamoto, you know, whatever he does, and you're just like, oh man, I like that
miss
guy.
him.
He's up there with a Wii remote and a nunchuck, and he's trying to show off like the brand new Skyward Sword, how like the motion controls work and everything, and it was just not working at all. Nothing he did with the motion controls appeared on screen. Like it was just not working. And you feel really bad for him because they obviously, him and his team and everyone that works on that game, you know,
Play was working perfect, you know, the other day.
They put years into that. And I'm sure every time they rehearsed this, like it worked perfectly. And then you get everyone in the room. And I think Nintendo came out afterwards and they said like their excuse was they didn't calculate for all like the laptops and cell phones and stuff that would be in the room at the same time, and all like the wireless like connectivity, so it ruined like the motion control stuff. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it sounds like a pretty good excuse. So that just kind of sucked, right? Like everyone's super excited to see this game and it just doesn't work. Most places did correct that, like once they got hands-on time later on, they were like, hey, don't worry, like for the most part it does work pretty well. It's not as bad as it looked on stage. But like that stuff on stage, you can't do anything about it. Like that's a part of history now. You know, you can't go back and fix that. Whereas the Directs, you can film them multiple times, just keep doing exactly what you want it to do, and then you just post the video.
Yeah.
It's very easy. You're going to get exactly what you want out of it, and everything's going to work.
Yeah, it does suck that they're not in like you said, like an audience, a big stage. Because it looks like it's just E3 is going to be kind of an expo for indie games.
I mean, I feel like that's what it might turn into, like a PAX.
Yeah.
But it's still the biggest one of the year, like game show.
Yeah.
And Nintendo still shows up. That's the thing, right? Nintendo still shows up. They just don't do a live press conference. You can still go there. They have all their booths set up. They have all of their guys, you know, Miyamoto and everyone like ready to give interviews and stuff. You know, Reggie still showed up. He's not there anymore, unfortunately. But they all show up, and they still are a part of E3, and they still have their E3 presentation that they know everyone's going to be talking about. They just, you know, don't do that there. Whereas Sony doesn't even show up at all.
They don't even have booths.
They don't just they don't just not like have a presentation to show. They just don't even show up at all. Like there's no Sony booth. There's still PlayStation games there because, like, let's say there's Call of Duty. They'll have Call of Duty and they'll have their PlayStation version of it. But there's no Sony booths that they set up. You can't talk to anyone from Sony. They don't have any Sony exclusive games showing there.
That's a bit of a shame. Because I would like to see E3 just a big kind of showcase and have a bunch of booths and have everybody kind of go in and try some demos.
Yeah, like if you're a fan there and you're looking forward to E3 every year, like maybe you're like, okay, like I probably wasn't going to be able to make it into Sony's press conference anyways, but I would at least like to take, time to look at those games that they announce and like play some demos of them. And it's like, no, you don't get to.
That was the most exciting thing about going to Best Buy when a new game was like out. It was trying to demo the system there.
So I think Microsoft, well, Nintendo does that too now. Like they show some games at E3, and then I always get emails from Best Buy and like Nintendo partnering, and they're like, if you go to your Best Buy this weekend, you can play demos of like some of the games that we announced at E3, and you get to play the same demos that the people are playing at E3, and like that's cool.
Dude, how cool would it be? You still have the E3 conference, they have TVs, and then they're showing off a demo for it, and you can play the demo at your local Best Buy while they're showing off the demo on E3. Like, that'd be so sick.
Yeah, Nintendo partially has done that the last couple of years. And typically they tend to like have some type of announcement that you get to do now. Like that's become the new thing. Like, here's this awesome new game. You're like, oh, that's cool. And then at the end they go available now, like while they're in the middle of like their press conference, and you're just like, oh, that's cool. And then because you're watching it, you just immediately go and purchase it. That's a good way to get sales.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you don't have to get this game in a month and then you might forget about it. Like, you can get this right now. And you're like, what?
What?
So like I remember the second DLC for Breath of the Wild, they dropped that announcement at the Game Awards 2 years ago, or I think at end of 2017. And no one saw that coming. They just randomly started playing a trailer, and you're like, what? And then they were like, available tonight after the show, and you're just like, what? I remember I texted you. I was like, dude, there's a dirt bike in Zelda.
Maybe that's what I'm missing in the game,
The dirt bike.
The dirt bike, yeah. Because I don't have to, well, you have to whistle for it.
To get it, you have to beat the game, and then you have to beat the DLC. So good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm not going to reach that anytime soon.
Because everyone else seems to be skipping E3, except for Nintendo, they're still there, but they don't physically do a presentation.
Right, and Xbox is still going to be there.
Xbox, it's almost like they're trying to be like martyrs, where they're like, hey, we're the last one standing.
We're the good guys.
And they're like using it to their advantage.
Because good on them.
Yeah, when you think about it now, it's basically their show.
Yeah, they own it.
E3 is their show. Like, Sony's not there. Nintendo is there in a smaller presence, but they're still there. But also, like, obviously Sony is more of a competitor with Microsoft than Nintendo is.
Xbox seems like they're for the people. PlayStation's a bunch of snobby people that think they're the shit, and then there's Nintendo that's like, hey, we just want to make good games. Yeah,
we'll charge you a premium for them, but we promise you'll like it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
speaking
so
of which, I played the demo for Octopath Traveler. Totally just a side thing. I thought it was pretty good, but yeah, the story's kind of boring, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna shit out money for this.
Well, aren't there like 8 characters you can play as? Yeah.
That's Octo. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it all comes together.
But I really enjoyed the gameplay.
I think it looks really cool.
Did you play the demo?
Rapidly. I think I have it downloaded. I don't know if I ever got around to playing it.
Yeah, if you're thinking about getting it, I suggest playing the demo.
I know that the progress
carries over,
I believe. But yeah, so I think it's very smart of Xbox to still show up, because like literally, and they've done this the last 2 years, right? When Sony comes out and says that we're not going to be at E3 this year, Phil Spencer, who's the head of Xbox, immediately like puts out a tweet. Just to let you guys know, we're going to be at E3 this year, and it's going to be the best E3 ever, and we're going to be having the biggest announcements that you wouldn't see coming, and it's just going to be a great year for Xbox. And it's like, it's a perfectly timed tweet there, Phil.
Phil knows what's up.
But like it's great. Like they get to be the one company that actually shows up and puts on a show for the fans.
Yeah.
And even the thing that they seem to do now, right? Like people have been copying the Nintendo Direct theme of game, 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 game. Like just give us the announcement, stop talking, and just show us the games that you have to show.
Yeah, I'm glad there's no live performances in the middle of a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, so like that you could say was a knock on like the E3 stuff, where all of a sudden they're like, oh, let's show off this game, and like let's bring out Kobe Bryant to show off the new NBA game. And it's like, guys, like,
and now let's have Kobe Bryant show off Breath of the Wild.
like,
I don't know what I'm doing.
There's a lot of different audiences that play video games.
Nah,
and it's very weird to think about this, because as someone that like pretty much plays all types of games, it's weird that people exist that only play one specific type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Like
everybody plays video games now.
Yeah, there are people that literally only play Madden and NBA 2K, and that's it. They buy a new console, and all they play every year are the new Madden and NBA 2K games. That's it. That's all they play.
Yeah.
They don't play any other games. Then there are people that only play Call of Duty. That's all they play. They only play Fortnite. That's all they play. And if you went to them and you're like, oh, did you check out the new Star Wars game? They'd be like, what Star Wars game?
What's Star Wars?
Like, oh, did you check out, Death Stranding? What's that? And like, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying it's weird to think that there's certain types of gamers out there that are just totally different than others. Like when I think of someone that plays video games, it's like, oh, you probably know what game this is.
Yeah.
But like there's a huge spectrum of people. So when it comes to E3, right, the people that are watching E3 aren't the people that only play Madden and NBA 2K every year. They're not, because they only care about those two games, and you don't need to know anything about those games other than the fact that you're going to buy them every year. So you're not going to watch an hour and a half presentation of all these games that you don't care about if that's what you're going to get. So when you come out and show the new Madden on stage, no one in that audience cares about that. And I'm not saying that none of those people play Madden or NBA 2K or any type of sports games, but that's not the audience that you're trying to sell these games to right now. Like when Ubisoft comes out and starts having 30 people dance to Just Dance, it's like, dude, no one in this audience cares about the new Just Dance game. I'm not saying that they're not going to buy it and they're not fans of that game, but everyone knows what to expect from that game, so this isn't the correct place to show this game off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like when you're at E3, you want your serious games that you're trying to show off for the new year to people who are actually going to play them.
Yeah.
That's why people get annoyed when they show off a mobile game at E3 or something like that, because everyone in that audience isn't saying that mobile game is going to suck. It's just that's a generalized game that's going to make them money, because people that don't typically play those types of games will purchase that game on their phone. But it's not necessarily for the people that are diehards that play all of your games and they want these specific experiences.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you want the reactions, and my favorite reaction was when Final Fantasy VII Remake was announced, and just everybody was freaking out. That was at E3, right?
I think so.
I don't know if it was E3 or the Game Awards show. I think it was E3.
I believe it was E3.
But yeah, just seeing the reaction and the crowd and all that, just, I don't know, puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, it's exciting, dude. Like if you type that in on YouTube, and then you replay that, and you just hear like the crowd just like, oh my god,
freaking out.
Like, yeah, like it's like when last year's E3, when they ended it with Breath of the Wild 2, dude, I was losing it.
Yeah.
Because one, I never thought they were going to make a Breath of the Wild 2, because they don't make sequels really to Zelda games. Like if they do, it's like a partial sequel, but not necessarily really connected. It's usually a newish game.
Yeah.
Like they just go, okay, here's our new art direction and here's our new Zelda game or whatever. And they were just like, literally, we're going to pick up where you left off. Here's Breath of the Wild 2. And like watching that trailer, you're just going, oh my God, like what? Like I didn't see that coming at all. I honestly did not think that was going to be shown.
Mm-hmm.
So it blew my mind. And if there was like a live audience there, that would have been crazy.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine everyone just like rushing out of that theater going like, oh my God, Breath of the Wild 2. Like, oh, jeez. So I do think that E3 has a lot of excitement around it still. But I do understand the negatives and how you would want to control certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Sony's last E3, the last one that they did, they showed off, I think, 3 games, and each one took place in like a different area based on that game. So like they set up this like pathway, and like the first one ends up in a barn, and then it turns out that that barn was shaped like the Last of Us 2 trailer, and they're in a barn dancing and stuff like that. So it was like themed to the game, and like that's cool. But then after that trailer, now everyone had to get up, file in a line, and then
go to the next
move
one.
into like another theater. And they were like, hey, I just want to like soak in like the experience that I just had of watching that awesome trailer. I don't have to stand up now and move around. So I get what Sony was trying to do, but it clearly didn't work out the way they
fucked up,
wanted
and they're
it
like,
to.
nah, we're just not going to do this again.
Yeah, right? Like, you guys could have easily fixed that by just having it in the normal theater space, and you just sit there the whole time.
It's like, nah, we give up. The audience doesn't know what they want. We know what you want.
Yeah, I don't know. So I still like E3, and I think E3 is at a good time in the year. You know, it's like halfway through, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then it's a good amount of time to get all your announcements out before it's like, okay, now I can look forward to like all these crazy games in the fall. But yeah, Microsoft is basically the last ones there. So at this point, I think Microsoft has no reason to pull out of E3 because it's basically their show.
Yeah, they might as well
With
stay.
Sony gone, why pull out? E3 is all about you. You can make the entire weekend all about yourself. You know, Zelda will have, or Nintendo will have their announcements and stuff, but that's not going to affect Microsoft too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Microsoft should stay, and so far it looks like they are. Having said that, I think that Sony, I'm very curious as to when they're going to have their next like video. Because I remember for the PS4,
anything.
Yeah, for the just a random tweet.
Yeah. Here's a spec sheet.
Hey guys, here's everything about the console. We'll see you on launch day. Nice and simple. The PS4 they announced at its own show in the beginning of the year. I think it was like February or March. They just had like their own thing. They invited press, and they said, "Here's our new console" and stuff. And then Microsoft did the same thing with the Xbox One, and that was when they had like the nightmare. It just started off bad. So
that's what it was. I think that's when Final Fantasy was shown off. Was oh well, maybe it was E3.
I think it was E3.
Because yeah, I do remember it was a Square Enix conference, but I could have sworn it was with PlayStation as well. And it was right after PlayStation was showing off stuff, and people were excited about it. And then, like immediately after, it was just like, "Oh, here's Square Enix." They showed up for like 2 seconds, and they're like, "Here's the trailer."
Yeah. Well,
because I think Square Enix was in the conference with PlayStation when they were showing off something. I don't think it was the next gen though. I don't know.
I can't remember specifically. It was a long time ago.
It was a while ago.
It's still weird to think that like this generation is coming to an end at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Like, I remember when I got my original Xbox One, I picked it up with Dead Rising 3. You were with me that night.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, we went to GameStop and I got it. And then it took so long because the initial consoles shipped with the original operating system and stuff of how the console was supposed to work.
Huh.
And then on day one, you had to update it, which basically wiped the entire operating system that they had and replaced it with like their new one that was much more generic and like basically worked the way you'd think it was. If you can put in any discs and it doesn't have to be connected online and stuff. But it took forever for that update because every single Xbox needed it on opening night. And it just took forever for that update to download. I don't even think I got to play. I think it was just updating the whole time. And I think you left, didn't you? Because it was getting so late because we picked it up at midnight.
Yeah. It was getting really late. I'm like, I gotta go to bed. I gotta go home.
Yeah.
I think you were driving me home. And so when he got back, I think it
Did
was
I
done.
take you home?
I think so. I don't think I have my card yet.
Huh. Well, anyway, it took forever. And it was really disappointing because it was like, okay, you just know that every single person that brought home that Xbox that night didn't get to play unless they stayed up till like, 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
So that sucked. But dude, that's why like Nintendo now, like they're like, hey, like if you bought a Switch for someone over the holidays, take the Switch, pull it out of the box, and update it for them before you hand the console to them. And it's just like, hey, if someone gives me a console, I want to be the first person to open that up. Don't open that up.
Yeah, that's just like saying
That's
when you
my
get a new
console.
phone to open it up and do a software update. Like, hell no.
Yeah, like no, that's my phone. I want to do the software update, but I'm like weird like that, like when I see there's a software update for something, I'm like, oh yeah, baby. Like, oh yeah, let me update that. I'll watch the whole bar, just go all the way through till it's done. I'm just like, oh yeah, oh you want to install it now? Okay, I see what you want to do. Yeah. So yeah, I don't want people to do that for me. That's my thing. So yeah, I'm excited for E3 this year. I will say that. I don't know if Nintendo will show off any more Zelda stuff. I'm going to go with a no. I think that game is at least another 2 years away. So I don't, maybe a small hint of something. But
I'm hoping for a clip of Metroid, hopefully. Please.
Yes, that is what I am most excited for, is hopefully Metroid. Because at that point, it'll have been a year and a half since they restarted the game. So hopefully they've at least got,
something to show off.
Some type of thing to show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably my most anticipated game from Nintendo is Metroid Prime 4 and then Bayonetta 3. I would like to finally see Bayonetta 3. No one has seen that since they announced it at the Game Awards 2018, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's funny. The last announcement last year at E3, I thought that was actually Bayonetta 3. I was like, here we go. It's going to be Bayonetta 3. And the way it started off, there was like this like smoky stuff or like these symbols. And I was like, oh, it's Bayonetta. And then all of a sudden you see like the Link and Zelda on some like elephant type thing. And I'm just
this
like,
is a weird crossover.
So yeah, they haven't said anything about Bayonetta 3 since literally saying that they're making it. So I would like to see that. So those are my two biggest ones that I'd like to see from Nintendo. And then Animal Crossing, of course, comes out in March.
Yeah. Dude, I want to see a Nintendo FromSoft exclusive game. I would love to see that. I always
yeah,
because
dude, Animal Crossing.
Brought to you by FromSoft. Did I play the shit?
Oh my god, my leg got ripped off. Go find me another leg. All right, let's go shovel. If I cut down this tree, maybe I'll find a leg.
The tree just like there's a ginormous tree with all these arms and like a choir in the background just singing.
Oh man.
I want to talk
rated
about
M for mature.
The character that was announced on Smash, because we were talking about this over text, and I, for whatever reason, thought that they had all the Fire Emblem game characters in the Smash world. So I was like,
So they did, but since Smash came out, they released a new Fire Emblem game.
And I, for whatever reason, thought that character was in it.
So I guess we can move on to that now. So today, they finally unveiled the final character of the original DLC characters pack. So they said that they would bring out 5 characters with the DLC pack, and this is the 5th and final one of that pack. They didn't announce it beforehand of who it was. They just said, we're going to show about a 30-minute or so Nintendo Direct just based on this character and what we're adding to the game and the level and stuff. And it turned out to be Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
And
now,
it's not really a surprise now that I look back at it. I
guess it's not too much of a surprise.
Like, not at all. Like, I don't know why I didn't see that coming. And I think it was just because I for whatever reason, thought all of them were already in the game. Um,
Yeah.
it's a,
So
I won't say it's disappointing because it makes sense, but I wish it's just another sword character. They all kind of play the same.
what's funny is that they actually make a joke about that in the intro video.
Oh, good.
They like so every time a new Smash character is unveiled, they always have this really awesome video
It's so cool.
of like how they get into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they always take like the original game that they're from or something like that, and then or the most recent game that that character is from, and then they put them in this really awesome video, and
The best was
they
Animal
show
Crossing.
how they Animal Crossing was great. The Donkey Kong one with King K. Rool
Oh, that one was good too.
was awesome. They literally take like the beginning of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and they like you see the shadow in the background, and then it's so great because they show Banjo Kazooie. They show Banjo in the shadow, and you're like, oh my god! And then King K. Rool pops out, and you're just like, what? They literally trolled everybody with that video. It's a perfect like shadow shape of Banjo and Kazooie.
It was a good foreshadowing as well.
Yeah, and then obviously Banjo and Kazooie do end up showing up, but like they do such a great job with those videos. So with this intro video, they literally take one of the coolest cutscenes in the game of Fire Emblem Three Houses, and they kind of make a joke out of it. And instead of you like getting out of this area, you just get an invitation to Smash, and you leave, and then go into Smash. It is kind of a spoiler for anyone that hasn't played the game, I guess. But it is a really sick scene, and it was a cool video. And then they do it kind of twice to make sure that you know that like you can play as the male Byleth or the female Byleth. And they do make jokes, like you said, that that it's just another sword character. Uh-huh. So in the game, each house, the leader of each house has their own special weapon. So like one has a sword, one has
spear,
a bow, and one has a spear.
Uh-huh.
And each one, you eventually get it, and then your character in Smash has access to all of them, depending on if you're doing like an up move, down move, side move. Right. So that was their explanation for like it's not just a sword character. You also get access to all these other types of weapons that do range, close, medium, stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, that's the same with Robin. Robin was very similar in that aspect.
Yeah, so it is another Smash. See, here's the thing, right? It makes sense that Byleth is in it, 100%.
Yeah.
And like that was a huge game. And if you like Fire Emblem, you probably really like the main character of Byleth, and I did too. The thing is, there are so many Fire Emblem characters in that game already that I think they shouldn't have put this many Fire Emblem games or characters in it to begin with. And I think that has led to now that you put a character in there that should be in there, people are annoyed, even though naturally I think they would be okay with it if there weren't so many already.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. I think they should take out Roy. Just take him out.
Roy has been like the original one that's in Smash. That's probably why he's still there.
I mean, so is Marth, and they're basically the same.
I mean, they came together. They were both on Melee.
Yeah, it's hard to just pick one. I mean, I think they should have Roy as a skin for Marth. Or Ike. Either one. Doesn't really matter. They both kind of play the same. Yeah, Ike's more heavy.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, it's
hard. Yeah, it's hard to just get rid of them.
You just want, especially since this game was literally supposed to be we're taking every character that we've ever made and putting them into one.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just suddenly skip out on some of them or say, no, screw that guy.
Fuck Corrin. Take out Corrin.
Yeah, we're taking every single person except Roy. Get out of Roy.
Roy's my boy.
We're back with everyone, and then like there's a little like asterisk, and then at the bottom of the screen, except Roy. But so I think that I'm not that disappointed. I'll tell you why. I would be more disappointed if they hadn't announced that there was going to be another DLC pack. If this was it, and this was like officially it. This is the last character they ever
Oh
added.
yeah, for sure. For
I
fucking
would be a
sure,
little,
dude.
yeah, I would be a little bit more disappointed that they didn't go out with a bang.
Yeah.
Again, the character totally makes sense, and I love the character. The issue is this: that they put too many Fire Emblem characters in the game to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's not a knock on Byleth; it's just a knock on how many characters there are in general.
Which may end up being fine when they release even more characters. And as the roster increases, we won't notice it. Just right now, we notice it.
Probably. And I think that the issue is also that they've mainly in this pack been bringing in characters that weren't really Nintendo characters.
Yeah.
You know, so you got Joker and Banjo-Kazooie and the dude from the fighting game, the last one that came out. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah. I don't remember his name either.
Like, when you have all these cool characters coming from different companies, you're probably sitting here thinking, like, oh my God, it's going to be another random character we didn't see coming. And it makes you excited because it's a game, it's a character that you don't think would be in Smash, but somehow they got the licensing and agreed with a company to get that character in there.
Yeah.
So you're just so excited for what random character is this going to be. And then it ends up being, you know, a typical Nintendo character where you're like, oh, that's not that exciting. Not that it's bad. It's just not super exciting because it's not something that you totally weren't expecting.
Right.
But yeah, so they did at least announce the second character pack. Terry was the last one, I think.
Uh-huh.
So when they announced the last one, they did say that they've been getting so many requests from people of which characters to add into the game and stuff that they decided to make another character pack. So there was originally just supposed to be this one with 5 new characters, and this they decided to change that because they got so many, and they were like, oh man, there's a lot of really good characters that could be in this game. So they decided to make a second one.
Okay.
And they announced that today, and you can pre-order that.
That was to be expected. I don't know why they said it was just going to be 5. Like, no, it's not. You guys are going to add a bunch more.
Well, because it always depends on if they decide to make another one, right? You'd want to hold some characters back for the next one. But it seems to be that they keep saying this is like how we're going out. Like, this is the best definitive version of the game, and it's never going to get better than this. So that's why they decided to keep adding more characters into it, because they don't want to have to make a whole nother game just to add, 5 new characters, or something like that. So they're like, let's just take this
being a game that they just keep patching and adding DLCs and not make a whole new game possibly ever again. This could be the last Smash game.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not going to say what happens 100 years from now, but in the next, in the next 5, 10, 15 years or so, like, I think like this could easily be a game where you just keep it going.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so yeah, they announced the next pack, and the next pack, this one had 5. The next pack is going to have 6 characters. And
sick.
As of right now, they said that'll be it, and that's going to go all the way through the end of 2021.
Shit. Okay.
So there's gonna be 3 more characters this year, probably 3 more characters next year, and then that'll be it. So
probably gonna be more.
And who knows? Over the next 3 years or in the next 2 years, maybe they do end up making another pack. Who knows? But as of right now, that's all the info we have. So we'll stick with that. And they did say, and I thought this was interesting, that all 6 of the characters, they are not announcing any of them yet, but they're already set.
That's so interesting.
So they're already set in stone, and they already have agreements with which 6 characters are going to be in Smash.
Damn.
They just need to take the time to make them, and then
Balance
obviously balance them, and then you want to put some space in between them to keep the game length, like the life of the game, going on more. So,
well, want to do some predictions? What you think? Maybe not all 6, but just kind of either characters you like or what you think would show up as. Do we get an estimate of when the first of the 6 is going to be like released? Do we get a time frame?
But my guess is E3.
E3. Okay.
My guess is E3. They'll kick it off with the first one of this new pack. And the rumors the day before the direct were that it was going to be Dante
I
from
could
Devil
totally
May
see that.
Cry.
Uh-huh.
And the main reason why people started thinking that was because when Nintendo announced that this direct was happening on this specific day, an older video that one of the producers or makers or someone involved with Devil May Cry series said to expect like announcements or information on these dates, and that specific date of the direct was also one of the dates that guy mentioned. So people were trying to piece those dates together and be like, oh, they're bringing Dante to Smash, which in my opinion would totally make sense because he's got a similar play style to Bayonetta.
Yeah.
So that would have made sense. And then, I think they brought the original Devil May Cry game or a couple of them or something to the Switch, just like remastered versions of the originals or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people were rumored that was going to be it. And I thought that was a pretty strong guess because, again, I thought it would have made sense as well. But so with who I would want to see, Nintendo has kind of made like this weird partnership with Microsoft. Not like a partnership, but like an agreement where they've taken some of their... I guess you could call it that. Like, Microsoft doesn't see Nintendo as like a direct competitor necessarily.
Right.
So like they've released a couple of games on the Switch that were Microsoft exclusives. So they released Ori and the Blind Forest on the Switch, which again, you need to play that because it's one of the best Metroidvania games of all time. I'm not even kidding. It's super good, and I really think you'll like it if you want to play a game like that.
I play Super Metroid a little bit. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Metroidvania game.
Yeah.
You got to get in on that. And that was a Microsoft exclusive game, and the sequel is coming out later this year. Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and I'm super pumped for that game because, again, one of the best Metroidvania games of all time. So they released the first one on the Switch, and then they also released Cuphead, which is a Microsoft exclusive. So that was kind of cool to see. They were like, hey, here's two like kind of side-scrolling games that we could release on Switch. It doesn't really hurt us.
Oh, wasn't Cuphead released recently as well as Mii Fighter?
Yeah. They released Mii Fighter costumes as well with the Smash Unveil. And there's a Cuphead Mii Fighter costume that looks pretty cool. There's Altair from Assassin's Creed.
Oh.
And that costume looks pretty cool. There's two Mega Man costumes. And there's one more. But they're just Mii Fighter costumes. So it doesn't like change anything. It just like changes the look. But it was pretty cool. Because then I was like, oh man, that would be really sick to... Like, Cuphead would, like, actually fit as a legit character, too, in there. Yeah. And then Altair would be super sick to see in there, too. Like, Altair Ezio would be so sick.
But those are now Mii costumes. It kind of sucks when you see a character as a Mii Fighter costume. And you're like, oh, it's not going to be an actual character now.
Well, I mean, Mega Man is in the game.
That's true.
And they just released two versions of his suit from, like, different games. Like, Mega Man 10 and... one other one. I don't know if it's called 10 or X. It's an X, so I would assume it's 10, right? I don't know.
No, dude, it's X, man.
X10.
X10.
I don't know, 10. But what were we saying?
Oh, just predictions on the next fighter. Because like I always associate upcoming games with it, like with Cyberpunk. Well, actually, that one's coming out kind of in a while, but I was thinking maybe they were going to do a Cyberpunk character or... No,
because that's not coming out on Switch.
Oh, it's not, you're right. Well, it could, though. Like,
no, it's not, no. It's not going to run on Switch. Dude, they could barely get The Witcher to run on Switch.
Yeah, that's true.
Let alone a game that's clearly going to be, like, meant for next-gen consoles, but playable on current consoles.
Yeah, so then I was like, well, 7 was going to come on the Switch. They would do another 7 character, but that's probably not going to happen. Everybody wants Goku, though. I think that's like the most requested right now is Goku. And I thought that could have been a thing because of the new Kakarot game coming out.
Yeah, you were saying that too. I think Goku would actually fit really
Really
well because
well.
he's literally like he just fits in as like a Ryu character, you know, just a really good fighter or something like that. And the only reason why I don't think it would is because you mentioned that they said that they're only trying to get characters that are in video games,
Yeah.
and Dragon Ball Z didn't start as a video game.
Uh-huh.
And then also, pretty much every Dragon Ball Z game is a fighting game. So it's almost like they're agreeing to let Super Smash Bros. Collect money off of their character and make Smash Bros. More popular than their own Dragon Ball Z games.
Yeah, and
Possibly,
you're gonna
like
open
it's
this
just kind of a conflict there.
Yeah, and you open a can of worm as soon as you bring Goku in. It's just like, oh, where's Vegeta? Where's Frieza? You know, and then it's just a
Yeah,
nonstop from there.
yeah, and then it becomes, oh, like if you want to play a fighting game with Goku, why get the Dragon Ball Z games when you can just get Smash?
Yeah,
So they would obviously get paid off of that, but I don't think it would be enough to them to. It's too similar of a game. I know they're obviously very different fighting games, but it's still the same genre, and I don't think that they would want to put that crossover in there.
mm-hmm.
But I would love to see it. I just don't think it would happen.
Yeah,
I still want to see Master Chief. I know because again, that's where I was going with the Microsoft and like Nintendo stuff. Like they've been working together. Banjo obviously started life on the N64 with Rare, but Rare is now owned by Microsoft. So Microsoft had to give Nintendo permission to actually use their character.
mm-hmm.
And like that wasn't simple. But Microsoft was like, yeah, sure. Like
Yeah.
we'll agree to this. Otherwise it wouldn't have happened. So that was really cool. And they worked together with that. So I would love to see that happen again with Master Chief. And I don't really know how it would look, but I think it would be really sick.
Kind of the same as Snake, maybe
I guess
a little bit.
the
Kind of a
main thing
mix.
is that like I don't think they want guns in the game per se, you know, just like fake guns. So
I mean, like it'd be kind of like Bayonetta, where like you can use her guns kind of like in that one move, but it's not like her main weapon. So I'm sure like holding down B would like have a gun come out and he starts shooting, but that'd be it. The rest would be just punches and grenades probably.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too with the grenades and stuff. And like you get the sticky grenades. So like you can throw sticky grenades on someone even when they jump around and stuff, it's still stuck to them. Like there's a lot of things that I feel like you could do with that.
Yeah, and the ultimate smash is ride that ship thing. What is it called? That purple ship. I don't know what it's called in Halo. Everybody likes to ride it. No, not the coast.
The one that you fly around in?
Maybe
The Banshee?
Is it the Banshee? It's not like
The Banshee is the one that you fly around in as one person. You like lay down in it.
Yeah, the purple one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Banshee.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that they could do. Or like even like a cameo, right? Like you just call in like some like cool airstrike and then like Sergeant Johnson or something makes like some awesome cameo or something like that.
I think
like,
I see
there's
more
some things
of
they could do with it.
I could see it more as a me character outfit though than an
But like
actual character.
I don't want that.
Yeah, I know.
I want an actual character.
I could totally see a Resident Evil 2. I think that one is kind of more.
Yeah, that's
likely.
another good one.
I'm trying to think what else. We got Punch Out already in. I'm trying to think of what other exclusive Nintendo games that hasn't been in it yet.
I don't think we'll see any Sony characters in it.
No, that's because like we would love to see Kratos, but that's not going to happen. If Nino Kunin was making another game, I could maybe see that. They're going to do a Nintendo exclusive.
I don't know
Nino
if enough
Kunin.
people know those characters though.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I don't know much about that new fighting guy character.
Yeah, Terry.
Terry. Yeah, I had no idea who that was.
Yeah.
So we got Xenoblade. Could be
That's why
more.
it's gotta be like mostly random characters.
It could
'Cause,
be a
like
new Pokemon character.
Byleth is like the last one that
Oh, dude,
like the
Dovahkiin.
last Nintendo
Dovahkiin.
character.
Another show character. Dovahkiin from Skyrim. I'm down. 10 out of 10, dude. You do Fus Rodan, dude. I'm so down.
Oh man,
Let's go.
that'd be so funny.
That'd be sick, dude. I can just imagine the trailer. You think it's Skyrim 2. And then it's that it's that cinematic where it's him about to fight the dragon. He goes Fus Rodan, but it's just Tom Nook giving him an invitation. Oh man. Is Toad in Smash at all?
No.
Throw Toad in there.
I guess you could. Like people like want Waluigi as well, but I feel like that's more just for a joke as opposed to actually wanting him.
Yeah, they might end up doing that. Who knows?
I don't know. Would you pay $25 and then be excited when they announce Waluigi?
For the memes, yeah.
Oh man, that's the thing though, right? Like some of these characters, like if they actually did that and we're like, all right, Waluigi is in this game, people would be going crazy about it, but not because I think they would genuinely be excited to play as him. It would because they would be excited to play as him as a joke and then never play as him again. And they would be able to post about it on the internet like, wow, they actually did it. But then like that would be it. Like it would just be for a joke. It wouldn't be for like any legit reasons. Yeah. And like to me, like I don't want that. Like I know that it's super funny, but like I wouldn't want that unless Waluigi like legit is like a super awesome character that they can create.
Oh, what about that Scribble game?
Scribblenauts?
Yeah.
They haven't had a new game in that franchise in a little bit.
Yeah, they've been kind of quiet. And how about Yoka? Lizard game? Like a lizard and a little purple dragon that looks like Spyro.
Oh, Ukulele?
Yeah.
That could be a good character.
I could see that. And
it's just tough though, because when you only got 6 spots, you want them to pick like literally like AAA characters.
Yeah, but when you have all the AAA characters already in the game, it's kind of hard to find.
Hey, well, they were able to find 6 of them, and they're already confirmed. That's the thing. So, like, if one of them is, let's say, Master Chief, like, they already made an agreement with Microsoft that it's going to be Master Chief.
It really could be Master Chief. Because that's around the time that, they're showing off the new Halo already. I could see it. Bomberman? Dude, do you see a Bomberman ever happening?
I could see Bomberman happening. Is there a me costume Bomberman?
Not that I know of.
Huh.
I don't know why they haven't done that yet.
That's right. Like, that's actually a good
That'd be a really
point.
Good character.
That's a good point with the Master Chief thing. Like, Halo's coming out this year. It's like at E3, Nintendo could just be like, and our next character is Master Chief. And then, like, they can bring that out, and now, like, that brings attention to Nintendo fans that, like I'm sure Microsoft would say, like, hey, like, you can do this, but make sure you mention, like,
our new system.
The new Halo or something like that.
The new Halo, yeah. Like, this could be an easy way to get people who just have Nintendo consoles to now all of a sudden get an Xbox for the Halo games.
Yeah, because like they see Master Chief again, and it like brings them back into like the good old days of playing Halo, and they're like, "Oh man, there's a new one coming out. Oh, maybe I should check that out."
It's not even that. Like somebody, like a kid who's never played Halo before and just plays Nintendo stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I love playing this Halo character." Like, let me get
it's
an
like their
Xbox
first introduction to Master Chief. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but like they could do the same thing on Microsoft stage then, and then they go, "Oh. So here's our trailer for Halo, and the game comes out, in November, but you don't even have to wait until then because you can play as the Master Chief right now in Super Smash Brothers."
We are bringing Super Smash to the Xbox.
Oh man, but like that would be such a great moment again with a crowd. The
Yeah,
live audience just pulls out all of their Switches immediately and starts downloading Master Chief.
it'd be so sick.
But yeah, that would be a great tie-in. And the thing is that neither of them have anything to lose with that partnership because
Hmm.
Microsoft doesn't have any type of fighting game like that. I mean, I know that they have Killer Instinct, but that's not really the same. And like Killer Instinct has its own set of characters. They don't bring in characters from outside franchises and stuff.
Right.
So it doesn't really compete with anything that Microsoft has, nor does Master Chief compete with anything that Nintendo has.
Yeah,
So I
it's not
really do
like
think that neither of them have anything to lose, even though it is Microsoft's biggest character. But like that's what would make it so cool is that Microsoft actually gives them permission to take the biggest character that that company owns and put it in Smash Bros.
hmm would be sick.
Which again is something that you wouldn't see from Sony because they instead tried to make their own version that just didn't work.
I wish it did work.
PlayStation
But
All Stars, baby.
yeah, but yeah, Sony just doesn't have the amount of exclusives that Nintendo has, or memorable characters to make a whole fighting game.
But they should do. Hopefully, Microsoft does this, but they really should just like all the companies need to give up and be like, all right, Nintendo clearly just has the greatest fighting game of all time, and at this point, it's just become like a museum for video games.
Hmm.
So here's our characters. You can only use it in this game, and that's it. Anything that does in the game, like we have to approve of. But just put the
Yeah,
characters in the game because it doesn't compete with anything that you have.
yeah,
You don't
yeah,
miss out on anything. It's just an awesome thing,
yeah,
right? And if you
yeah.
have people that like your character, they're not only going to buy a Nintendo console now because they're like, oh, I can play as Nathan Drake on my Switch and Smash Bros. So I'm not going to get a
Yeah,
PlayStation.
I'm not gonna.
Like it's a
Yeah,
completely different game and experience. Like those
I don't
don't
need the new
overlap at all. They
Uncharted
don't.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they don't subtract from each other. No one goes, oh, I'm not going to get Bayonetta 3 because I can play her in Smash. Why pay $60 for that game? Or it doesn't work that way. So I would love to see just an agreement, like all three people. Uh, you know, this would be like a cool thing at like the Game Awards, right? Like last year, not the 2019 awards, but the 2018. Uh, all three heads of all studios, so Reggie from Nintendo, Phil from Xbox, and forgetting the guy from PlayStation. But they all three came out and they just had this really cool speech of all of them like just saying like we make games for you guys and we compete, but it's friendly competition and we all help each other like improve and get better. And it was just a really cool moment. Like they didn't announce anything at that time, but it was just really cool to see the three people running these companies just on the stage next to each other.
yeah,
And like that would be an awesome time for them to all of a sudden be like, and we're all putting our characters in Smash. And it would just be like, what? Like that would literally be the craziest thing in video game history, dude.
it would.
Like all three, the heads of all three competitors standing on stage together saying that they're going to put not all, but like some of their characters or one of their characters in a single game. And for the first time ever, you can play a Nintendo character, a Sony character, and a Microsoft character all against each other. Like, would that not be the coolest, most crazy thing ever?
I'm getting just goosebumps thinking about it if it ever happened.
I know. I know. So I don't think it would happen in that way. I'm just saying that would have been an awesome moment.
Hmm.
But I would love to see Sony and Microsoft just acknowledge that it doesn't hurt them at all. It's just for the fans.
Yeah. Most people aren't just gonna just get a Nintendo. Like they usually want one of the other consoles. It's really PlayStation and Microsoft. They're kind of competing. Nintendo's kind of its own thing.
Yeah. And to be fair, Nintendo was competing until basically the Wii.
But they were like, we don't care.
Yeah, they went in their
have a
own
different
direction.
idea. Yeah.
So, which I applaud them for.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I'm glad that there's something different, right? Because like I'm fine if they want to also make experiences that are similar, but having something different is what makes like video games exciting. If the Switch, right, was just another regular home console that didn't do anything unique, it's just another version of the same thing.
Hmm.
Whereas this, like with the Switch now, it adds an exciting, third
Twist.
console that doesn't necessarily have to compete with the other ones, but it gives you a new experience of how to play games or where you can play games.
Yeah.
So, that also ties in with Byleth being announced in Smash, that they announced the new DLC for Fire Emblem Three Houses today. So my guess is that was also planned, 100%. They were like, hey, they announced the new DLC for Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Uh-huh.
So that was clearly planned. So they were just waiting for this Byleth announcement, and then they were also going to tie it in, because Byleth and Fire Emblem is back in. They're like, hey, well, not only will you be able to play as Byleth again in Smash, but also the game that he's from. Now you can play some more of that. Mm-hmm. This one, though, like the other DLCs were kind of just like extra levels and clothes and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't that big of a deal. Like it wasn't like a full-on story level. It was just like, here's some new like maps to go around and like beat, but it wasn't like story
more like
driven stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is the first, I don't know if it's the only, but it is the first full on legit DLC for Fire Emblem. And it's really cool. It adds a whole fourth house. So originally there are 3 houses in the game. This adds a whole fourth one. And my guess is that it's only accessible after you beat the main campaign, because it's a separate house. So it's not like you restart the whole game, and now instead of picking one of the other 3 houses, you play through the whole game as this new house. It's not that. It is a whole like new area of the monastery, and you finally get to go under the monastery into the crypt. And it turns out that there's a whole house under there, and they're kind of like forgotten, but they have like something to prove,
Okay.
And
I don't know. I had no idea what the monastery is. Yeah, no idea, but that's okay,
so the monastery is like the main place that you're walking around and doing all your side quests and stuff like that.
It's like a school.
But yeah, it literally is.
Okay.
That's why people say that Three Houses is the best Harry Potter game to ever exist.
Then Jolie might like it, because that's, I think, my next game that I want to play, but I just don't want to fork out $60 right now.
She might like that part, but you still have to do all of like the battles and stuff in between. I think you can actually have them autoplay, to be honest.
Yeah.
So if you did just like that stuff, you could just start the battle and then have the battle just play itself out and move your characters and everything, and you don't even have to do anything.
That's straight up what Dragon Quest is. You just auto battle the whole thing, and you don't really do anything.
Honestly, if I were to go back and play that game again just to get the other like storylines and stuff, I'd probably do that just because I don't have another 90 hours to put into it.
Yeah.
But this DLC does look cool. So it is a whole new storyline, and adds new levels, new sections of the monastery. Again, like I said, I don't know how long it is yet, but the house is called the Ashen Wolves House. So it's a cool name. And
I guess it's probably the same length as a normal house. I mean, definitely at least.
I don't know, because the normal house is literally the length of the game, which is like anywhere between 60 and 90 hours, depending on how long you take.
I guess it's at least 40.
I would say
40.
somewhere between 20 to 40,
mm-hmm.
which I know is a big stretch, but like some people rush through things, some people take their time.
What's the pricing on it?
It's just part of the DLC pack. It's the last piece of the DLC pack. So you get everything that's been coming out. I think it's 25.
Yeah, then it's got to be kind of hefty.
I think it's $25. But again, this is the 4th thing of the DLC pack. So the first 3 were new levels and outfits and whatnot. Basically things that kind of annoyed people because you bought the DLC pack and then you didn't know it was coming out. And then the last 3 have just been like small levels and costumes, and you're just like, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But this one fully makes up for it. So this one is totally legit. The only thing is that you have to buy the DLC packs. You can't just buy the new part on its own for $15 or $20. You have to buy the whole thing.
Right. Well, I think I'm just gonna wait till the Game of the Year edition comes out.
Which I'm sure they'll do. Probably at the end of the year or something, and include the DLCs.
Yeah, and then get it when it comes out.
I don't know if I'll play it. I want to. I'll have to again get through
all your other games,
current games and stuff before I get back into that.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I think that comes out end of this month or February. End of this month or beginning of February, one of those. Um, so yeah, there's that, and then delays. Lots of games getting delayed this year or this week. So um, it started off the beginning of the week with Final Fantasy VII remake getting delayed. That's the shortest delay.
Yeah.
And then Avengers also getting delayed. So Final Fantasy VII was supposed to come out March 3rd. It is now coming out April 10th. So
Totally 100%, especially with this one, just because, like, if they fuck this up, I don't think Square Enix will be able to recover from it. Like, I am okay with delaying it 1 month. That's not that much at all. Totally okay.
yeah,
They can't fuck
yeah,
this
I
up,
agree.
dude. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
big game.
when I heard
So
about it, I was just like, I was like, thank God, actually. Like, don't release a half-ass game. And I was glad when they were actually working on it, and then they said we had to scrap the whole thing because it was just like not to our standards. Like,
yeah,
it's such a big game that they can't screw it up.
yeah, um, I agree. Especially since they've been taking so long on it. Like 1 month and a week doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
Like
like at
5
all.
extra weeks doesn't hurt. So
The only
people always get
complaints,
angry when they delay games.
yeah,
I'm all for it because all it means is that if they have to delay the game, all it means that the game wasn't ready yet.
and
So if they gave you the game when you wanted to play it, you wouldn't get the best experience and you would be disappointed with the game and
yeah,
you would be mad that they shipped it in an unfinished way. So when a company says that they're now going to delay a game to make sure that it works right, I'm 100% okay, and I I'm not angry in any way when that happens. Not at all.
yeah. And I was seeing complaints that the only reason people were kind of mad about it was that it was gonna interfere with playing Cyberpunk, which turned
Which
out
no
to
longer
be
matters.
perfect. So now everything is working the way it should, because Cyberpunk got pushed back. That was a hefty delay, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one was. So I think that one was supposed to come out in March. No, not March. Sorry,
April.
May, April or May.
Whenever the new launch day for 7, it's like a week after 7, I think. And it could have been May. Yeah, April or May. Um,
One of those. But it
mhm.
got delayed until September 17th.
Yeah, that's kind of far.
So they actually said that the game is done. In their announcement that they're delaying the game, they said the game is done,
Uh huh.
but it's so big that they want to make sure that there are literally zero bugs and issues with it.
Uh huh.
So they also said they want this to be like their crowning achievement of the
Yeah,
generation. So they want to make sure that this game
that they
doesn't come
want this
out
to be the game of the
and
year.
it has a bunch of bugs or issues or something, and everyone's talking about the bugs as opposed to how great the game is.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game of the year competition. You know, you got 7 Cyberpunk coming out. Um,
Well, see, I have another guess as to why they delayed it too. I think obviously the bugs and stuff, they want to make sure everything is working perfectly before it comes out.
yeah.
I believe them with that. But I also think this puts the release date closer to when the next gen consoles will be coming out.
Uh huh.
And now more people will be able to wait maybe an extra month or a month and a half or so to play the game on the new console in the best way possible, as opposed to this game coming out in, April or March, or sorry, April or May. And you're like, oh man, like I can't wait another 6 months until the new console comes out. So I'm just going to play this now.
Yeah, they probably should have actually just made it release with the new consoles at this
Yeah.
point.
And I think this September 17th one puts it where if you still want to play it day one, you can do that.
Mhm.
But it's also not too difficult of a wait if you do want to play it on your new console, the PS5 or Xbox Series X.
Yeah, and it puts in a good spot as being like one of the last games you're going to play for the year. It's going to be the game that you're going to remember.
If it takes you that long, you might not beat it until the end of the year.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a huge game.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if they'll have like progression carryover too. Like you started on your Xbox or PlayStation, and then when the new one comes out, all you have to do is get it for the new console, and then your progress immediately
Yeah, it transfers over.
transfers over.
That'd be nice.
But so I'm gonna be honest. I think Cyberpunk looks really sick. I don't really know
I don't think it's gonna
what
be
to
my type of
expect
game.
from it yet.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good game, but I don't think it's gonna be my type of game, and I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it too much.
Yeah, this is one of those games where I'm gonna have to see a lot of gameplay and like what you're doing mainly
Uh-huh.
in between like missions and stuff. Because again, I haven't played The Witcher, so I don't know if it's going to be literally The Witcher but reskinned for being in the future, or if it's going to be 100% brand new, like not even remotely close. It just has like a huge world like The Witcher did.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect. I feel like it's gonna be more like a Fallout than a Witcher.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing. I don't know how open world it is versus how like what's the story? Like, is it a very linear story, or is it literally just like go and do whatever you want, and then the story is there for you, and you want to get back to it? Like,
Yeah,
I haven't looked a ton into this game. I know
me
everyone's been
neither.
freaking out about this, and this has been like everyone's next huge game that everyone's looking forward to.
Hmm.
I think it does look good so far. I think it looks really good, and Keanu Reeves is in it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. I basically what I'm saying is I don't have an opinion on the game yet.
Me neither. I'm just like thinking about like the style and stuff, and I don't know. I don't think I'm into that kind of cyber futuristic. I did like Deus Ex a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of just in this kind of era of not liking shooters anymore for some reason.
Well, that's what's interesting. That's why I'm saying I don't really know what you're doing in the game. Like, is it full on just a first person shooter the whole time, or is there like other like things that you do, and like there's more to it than just
I mean, and
shooting
there's going to be,
people?
I think there's going to be a lot of choices they're going to make throughout the game that's going to affect the whole game. And then I think there's going to be a lot of paths that you can take where if you don't want to be a blaze out shooting, you could, do stealth. You can try and avoid combat. That was the cool part about Deus Ex is that you could just not, aside from bosses, which they've actually fixed later on in the game, that you don't have to actually fire a single shot in the whole game.
Yeah, I remember that. You can get through the whole game without doing that.
Yeah. And that's what I
Isn't there
did because it was a nice achievement. They're like,
I was gonna say, wasn't there an achievement for that?
yeah, it was called like pacifist, and it's just like beat the game without firing once. And I'm like, I'll do that. It was actually really fun. I enjoyed it.
Isn't that kind of like scary though? Like you accidentally pick up a gun, or like you accidentally fire it, and like not
Dude,
even at an enemy, and you're just like, no.
I was saving like every 5-10 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Just so you can make sure to go back. Okay.
Yeah, and they had multiple auto saves so you could go back to.
Because that would suck.
There's so many times where like I accidentally just like tap the trigger by accident. Didn't mean to do it. And I'm like, crap, reload.
Well, yeah. So that got delayed. I know that a lot of people are disappointed for that, but again, like all it means is that the game is going to be better when it comes out.
Yeah.
There's no negative side effect. And here's the thing, right? Like that game was coming out kind of almost to the middle of the year, but a little bit beforehand. There's so many games that were delayed from last fall to early this year. Like between now and April, there's a lot of big games coming out. I don't have the list right now, but there's a lot of like pretty decent games coming out. And it's just like, man, like I'm so glad when games kind of get delayed, to be honest, because it gives me more time to finish what I currently have before being like, oh man, I got to get this new game real quick before, I'd finish all the games that I already need to beat.
All the gaming companies, everybody just needs to come together and say, okay, let's stop making games for a whole year so you guys can catch up.
We know that you all have huge backlogs, so we're going to give you guys some time, and we're not going to release any games for the next year. Oh my god.
Finally, they're listening.
Yeah, so Cyberpunk delayed. We said Final Fantasy VII was delayed. The other game, so Final Fantasy and the new Avengers game are obviously both made by Square Enix. So they also announced the same day that the Avengers game is getting delayed. That was also a pretty decent delay from May 15th to September 4th. So that was basically the same type of delay that Cyberpunk got.
My brother and I think it's going to be a poop game.
So here's the thing. It's being made by the same studio that made the Tomb Raider games, the new ones, which I love. I think they're all fantastic. So when they start working on something new, I'm like, great, it's an awesome studio.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the gameplay, I just think it looks very cheesy, like the character models, like just the way it looked.
Yeah.
It looked kind of cheesy.
I agree.
I didn't think it graphically looked very good.
It looked like that era of like PS2, GameCube games, or even
if it was a PS2 game but in high definition.
Yeah, or like every movie had to have a video game. Like I'm sure there was a Nacho Libre game, you know. it kind of seemed like one of those games. Or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They made a video game on that.
Hold on, tell me where this Nacho Libre is. I want to play this Nacho Libre game.
I don't know if it's for sure, but I don't know. Something tells me it was a PS2 game. I'm gonna look it up.
Nacho.
I know there was a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But you know what I'm talking about. There was a moment where like every single movie had to have a video game.
Got a game tie-in, yeah.
Oh yeah,
King Kong got one.
Nacho Libre, PS2.
Wait, is there really?
Yeah, it was. Oh, it's on the DS as well, dude.
What? I gotta look this up. Nacho Libre.
This could be my next game. I'm only seeing it on the DS.
Yeah, it looks like it was just on the DS. Came out in 2006. Oh man, you can get it on eBay for $4.55.
I'm seeing somebody sell it. They're like Saints Row 2, 3, Assassin's Creed, Tony Hawk Pro Skater Underground, and Nacho Libre.
Let me turn that down.
But yeah,
it looks like it's just a fighting game.
Mm-hmm. Looks like an. Have you seen gameplay of that new wrestling game that came out, WWE 19 or something?
Nacho just slammed that dude to the floor. Yeah, it's just a wrestling game.
I played it.
It's between Nacho and the really skinny guy that is his teammate.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Esquilito. Says the names at the bottom. Nacho Libre versus Esquilito.
Dude, that was the Wild West.
Dude.
Just making games of everything. I remember I played an NSYNC Game Boy Color game. It was $1 at the Dollar Tree or Dollar Store.
Oh, that's worth it.
My mom got me that and a pack of Japanese Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Dude, that's the best way to listen to NSYNC music. You get the whole album for $1. You're like, hold on, guys, you want to listen to the new NSYNC album? Let me just pull out my DS.
But it wasn't songs. It was mini games. It was like a Mario Party, but with NSYNC.
Wait, and they didn't have any NSYNC music in it?
There was just a bunch of beeps. I don't know if it was a song of theirs.
Was it at least? Were the beeps at least to the beat of like their songs?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's got to be. Otherwise, why did it exist?
I don't know.
Oh man,
it was so interesting.
Man, yeah, they were making a lot of game movie tie-ins.
So many.
What else was there? Ooh, it looks like there was a Napoleon Dynamite game for the PSP.
I'm not surprised.
Dude, Napoleon Dynamite, the game.
That was literally every game that came out around that time.
Did you ever watch Napoleon Dynamite and you were just thinking to yourself, I'd really like to be playing this?
Oh man, video games were so interesting back then.
October 30th, 2007. I wonder if you get to play as Uncle Rico.
He was a DLC character.
Just keep throwing the football. You're like, oh man, what could have been? Let me watch another trailer for this. What's going on here? Oh my god, it's like it's like paper. I'm here to talk to Kip. And then now here's Napoleon. Your face is something. Here's Uncle Rico. Your brother and I are on our way to these anti-aging vitamins. Yeah, right. Like they're gonna work anyway. All right, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know
And
how
like,
you can
remember
get
those Lord of
gameplay
the
in
Rings
this.
games?
Oh, hold on. Press A. Okay, goal. Throw the foot. I kind of called it. The goal of this mini game is to throw the football further than Uncle Rico. Oh man. Okay, press A or touch the stylus to the football pin to pick the throw angle and power. And then boost ball, press A or touch the football when it hits the ground. Okay. Oh man. Dude, I totally called that football thing. That was like the first thing I thought of. I was just like, oh, was it Uncle Rico throwing the football? Okay, so this is basically a mini game that is the the bag in Smash Bros. The punching bag,
Uh-huh.
and you hit it and you try to get it to go as far as it can.
Oh.
That's basically what this is, except you're trying to throw the football further than Uncle Rico did.
And you have to like hit the football?
You throw the football.
Right, but how do you make it go further?
You pick the angle and the strength.
Oh, okay.
So like you hit A, like there's a arrow going up and down.
Okay.
And you hit A once to stop that for the angle, and then there's a power meter going in and out, and you hit that to do the power.
Gotcha.
And then you throw it. So Napoleon just dominated Uncle Rico on that one.
Most games like that, which just like there's nothing new or innovative about those games. It was just taking ideas from other games.
I wouldn't say that, but
no.
Dude, that's incredible innovation. It's impossible to throw a ball further than Uncle Rico, so if the game can do it, it's pretty innovative.
I know a lot of people want those Lord of the Ring games to be remade. Those were good games.
The
Two Towers and Return of the King on like the PS2 and Xbox.
So
GameCube.
Those were like the only video game movies
that were actually really good. Yeah.
Like they straight up followed the whole storyline of the game, of the movies. And then they actually incorporated clips from the movie in the game.
Yeah.
So like instead of a cutscene with the game characters, they just showed you the clip of the film.
Yeah.
And it was like so cool. It was like perfect.
You know what other movie that needs a remake that was a video game is Godfather. That was an amazing game.
I remember that. Wasn't that kind of like a Grand Theft Auto?
It was. Mucho good.
Was there Godfather 2?
That was mucho bad. We don't talk about that one.
No, not the movie, the game.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. The movie was really amazing. It was so bad, dude. Horrendous. I wouldn't recommend it.
See, like, that's weird to me, right? Because games typically get better as they go on because you can just take the feedback from the first one. Like, maybe you can't get as good of a story because you already used, like, all of your ideas for that. But the gameplay should at least be better because all you have to do is take the original game and make the improvements that people wanted. So it's weird to me that you would say it's terrible.
It was so bad.
Huh.
It was amazing because like the first one felt like a Grand Theft Auto game, and then the second one, when you're driving, it just feels like you're playing Crazy Taxi. It was so weird.
Crazy Taxi. Godfather.
Oh, and there was a Scarface game.
Yeah.
Dude,
and there was 50 Cent, Blood and Sand.
Oh my god. I remember that game too.
Yeah. Dude, I remember Fable 2. I don't know why I'm thinking of this right now, but I think I'm thinking of like M-rated games that came out when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
So it was before I could like purchase them on my own because I wasn't 17 yet.
Yeah.
So Ethan had Fable 2, and I hadn't played Fable 1. So Fable 2
Amazing.
was like my first introduction to it.
Yeah.
And it looked super fun, and he was playing it. I was like, oh man, I really want to get this game, but I couldn't because it was rated M.
Right.
And downloading games wasn't really a thing at the time. It was for like arcade games, but not like full on like games that you could purchase in the store.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh man, I really want this game, but I literally cannot get it unless I go with my mom. So I go with my mom to GameStop to get it. And I think this was pretty recent after like they announced that they would be like taking more care of like the rating systems and not just like letting little kids like get, M-rated games and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I wasn't that little. I think it was high school still, right? I think it was like freshman or sophomore year of high school when Fable 2 came out. One of those. But so I went with my mom to get it, and I handed the guy at the front, and he's like, all right, just because he looks like he's underage, I just gotta let the parent know what's in this game. So this game is rated M4, and starts going through the whole list.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like blood, language, gore, violence, sexual themes, and it's just like, oh Jesus. Like if you tell a parent that, they're just immediately just like, nope.
Yeah.
You're not getting this. Like there's sex in here and stuff.
Yeah.
You're not doing it. Nope. So I didn't get it, is the moral of the story. But I was so disappointed. I was just like,
No, he
like,
saved your life, dude. It's not worth it.
No, I loved Fable 2.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I really liked Fable 2.
I didn't like it.
Fable 3 was the one that I heard was more iffy, and I never played it. I had it, but I never played it.
Yeah. They were kind of
But
similar.
yeah, eventually I got the game. I don't remember how. I think maybe I borrowed it from Ethan or something.
Uh-huh.
But eventually I played it and beat it.
Did you ever play the remaster of
I
the
was just
first
like,
one?
come on, man, like help me out. Like, and then my mom was just like, so how, like, what does it show? Does it show, like private parts and does it actually show people having sex? And the guy was just like, yeah, it shows it all. And she was just like, oh my God, nope, which wasn't true.
There's a huge cock.
Which
that
wasn't
enters
true.
her mouth.
I mean, there are cocks in the game, but they're not on guys. They're chickens. Like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, that wasn't true.
That's so funny. Yeah,
It doesn't
wasn't
show
that
any
bad.
penises, or there's no nudity in the game or anything like that. And then, like, you can choose to have sex with people, but
They don't show it. Yeah, they just kind
I
of
don't
block out
think
the
it-
scene.
I don't think it shows anything. I think you just hear like the moans.
Yeah, you hear the moans, and it's probably just like outside the house or whatever.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, they don't show anything. But I was just like, come on, dude. like, if you're gonna do that, at least explain it correctly, or say that like you haven't played the game, so you aren't 100% sure.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to play it then, so very disappointed.
You never played the remaster of the first one?
No, I never got around to it.
If you ever do, you should. It's pretty
Why
good.
didn't you like the second one?
They changed the perspective. That to me was the issue. Is how the game was played. It was more of a bird's eye view, and I didn't like that. The first one was kind of more of a over the shoulder, I guess, kind of. And the story was just better, and I didn't like that they were using guns in the second one. I liked kind of the more medieval sword and shield kind of play style.
I didn't mind the gun, but so I loved the game except for the final boss. The final boss, I think it was Y to shoot. I hit Y once the battle started, and it hit him, and he fell off his pedestal and died immediately. Like he just fell off the edge, and I was just like, "Wait, that was it? Yeah, that was it." I was like, "What?" I was like ready for like this big battle at the end of the game. I just pushed Y once, and it was over.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was like, okay. Because he's like standing on like a pedestal that's surrounded by nothing. It's just like standing on top of like a hole, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the space around him is just open. So if you shoot him, he just stumbles and then just falls off and dies. And I was like, okay. Like that was anticlimactic, but whatever.
Yeah,
Oh
Fable
man.
3 was interesting. I think there was a final boss, but just the lead up to it was just like you're given this scenario and you think it's the right scenario the whole time, and so you got to do the good or bad choices. And then at the end it didn't matter cuz you're all screwed anyway.
For Fable 3?
Yeah, it almost felt like your decisions just didn't matter at the end. It
Well,
was
you play as a king, right?
yeah.
Is it still Albion
I think so.
or is it a new world?
I think it's the same. And you actually don't even, you're not king until kind of the end. You have to like overthrow your brother, who seems like this complete douche that's just doing everything for the wrong reasons. And then something happens. Not going to spoil too much, but then it turned out that he did it with it seemed like he was doing bad things, but it was actually for a reason. And
Okay.
you kind of turn out to be like the bad guy, not bad guy, but like
You shouldn't have tried
yeah,
to stop it.
yeah.
Okay.
It was an interesting
see.
twist, but it wasn't good when you're trying to make the game seem like your choices matter, and then it turns out it didn't.
Yeah. But Fable's really good. So it's rumored that Microsoft is going to bring Fable back because that's also one of their biggest exclusives. And again, it's like an awesome single player game
Mm-hmm.
that they haven't been using.
And they keep making games and then just saying, nah, it's not that good. Let's not make it.
Yeah, they had, I think it was Fable Legends.
The one where you
And
can
it was
play with like four
it was a
people.
multiplayer game, and I think it was like a 3 versus 1.
Yeah, one person is like the dungeon creator,
boss.
I guess, the boss.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then 3 people go and try to attack it and make their way through like the dungeon.
It was very interesting because I could have seen that being more of like a Nintendo game.
Yeah, and the style that they used for it was very new.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft had like a weird time in the middle of this generation where they had a few exclusives that they just canceled.
Yeah.
That was one of them. And they were working on it for a while, and that game fully worked. Like that had multiple betas and everything. Like that game honestly probably exists somewhere, like in an almost finished state. Well, maybe not almost finished, but like in a playable state.
Yeah,
And they
Microsoft was
stopped it.
in a weird funk when Xbox One was just released. Like those like 2 years, 3 years. They were in a
Yeah.
kind of weird state.
And then they had that they had Scalebound, which was a huge partnership with Platinum Games, so the same makers as Bayonetta and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And that was their exclusive, and it was like you're this dude that slays massive monsters, but like in a more action style than like a Monster Hunter style. And I never thought it looked super great, but it was
Uh-huh.
still one of their huge exclusives that you never know could have turned out to be good, and they canceled that too. So they were in a weird position earlier on. So I'm hoping that that's all behind them, because there are rumors that they're bringing back Fable.
I hope
And
so. So like,
supposedly,
go back to your roots,
yeah, supposedly it's Playground Games making this, which are the same people. It's the same studio behind all the Forza Horizon games, which are the most beautiful games that exist on planet Earth. So they're very good at making those games. And I think a year or two ago, people noticed that they made a second like group within their studio,
Uh-huh.
and they're working on some unannounced game, and they're owned by Microsoft, so it's going to be a Microsoft exclusive game.
Right.
So everyone is assuming that this is going to be Fable, and the Forza Horizon games are open world games. So I think that they would do a really good, and the worlds look beautiful and they're incredible. So I think that they would be a very good team to create an awesome world
Uh-huh.
for Fable, and I think they really could do it. So I'm excited to see what that is. I think that they will probably announce that at E3, and I don't know if it will come out this year, but that would be really cool if they were able to launch the console within with Halo and Fable. at the same time.
Yeah,
That would
that'd
be
be nice.
nuts. And if not, launch it with Fable as well. Maybe like at least in the launch window. So Fable, comes out maybe within the first,
Month or two.
6 months. Maybe I'd give it 6 months. First 6 months of when the console comes out.
Yeah.
So that'd be really cool. I'd love to see Fable come back.
I do too. They need to bring back how it was in the original. Make your choices like really actually matter and have complete good and evil kind of thing. And no fucking guns. No fucking guns.
But what if you could have 2 guns? You could dual wield.
Okay, you got me on that.
Yeah, see?
I want new Saints Row. I haven't seen anything from Saints Row.
If you want a new Saints Row, just buy it again on the Switch.
Have you ever played
But that's
Saints Row?
because THQ went under. So
I know, but then they
now they got
revive.
revived as THQ Nordic.
Yeah.
And because they weren't that big yet, they've just been trying to like get some extra money so they can start investing in new games. So they've just been re-releasing like, older games
Oh, that explains
on
why
like newer consoles.
why Titan Quest was now back again. That's what
Yeah,
they've been
they're-
working on. They were working on new DLCs for Titan Quest.
But no, it makes a lot of sense because like that's a good way to try to get some more money into a company that went bankrupt. So
It definitely worked. Like I see a lot of people, not a lot, but I see it on Twitch. And usually when I live stream on Twitch, Titan Quest, I usually get like 8 people watching.
yeah,
Like it's definitely a game that people like to play.
yeah.
And then I know they screwed up recently, last year when they said they were gonna have a Q&A. Guess where they decided to host this Q&A? On 8chan.
Oh man.
Not even 4chan.
Oh wait,
was-
I think I heard about this. Right? Didn't someone get in trouble?
Yeah, somebody I think got fired from doing it because
Yeah. What was this story again?
so
I
they were doing a
recall
Q&A,
this.
and for whatever reason, person that was running it thought it was a good idea to host it on 8chan. And
Yeah.
if you don't know what 8chan is, you might know, but I don't know if the audience knows it. 8chan is like the R-rated version of 4chan, and 4chan is already pretty R-rated.
It's already pretty R-rated. Yeah.
I think a year or two before this happened, 4chan was trying to clean up their site, so they moved a lot of their hardcore stuff into a new site that was called 8chan. And 8chan now is actually closed. They got into some big trouble with some things. I don't know exactly what, so they closed off 8chan. Now it's called something else. But yeah, for whatever reason, they thought a Q&A on 8chan was the way to go, and they got a lot of trouble for that. And some people think that could have kind of screwed up the whole company. We'll see. Time can only tell.
Well, it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes.
It's funny.
And then the next one, you just
somebody's
post
like,
it on
"Oh, 8chan,
4chan.
that's where the Q&A. Let me go check it out." And then just like a Q&A from Nordic, and then below it's just child porn.
Yeah.
not a good image to send to people.
Yeah, probably not. Not the best way to say, come and purchase our game. That's family friendly. And moving on.
Yeah, Super Nintendo World.
So,
What's going on with
Nintendo,
that?
for those of you that don't know, made a partnership with Universal Studios, I believe, last year or the year before. And originally they said that they would be creating a new world within the studio theme parks. So it'll be like Nintendo themed, kind of like how you can go to Disneyland and they have Tomorrowland and what's it called, like Star Wars Land and stuff like that. They have like specific areas. The Universal theme parks will have a Nintendo specific area, and I was super excited when they first announced this. So they released a little bit more information the other day because they were pretty silent on it until now. So the first park is going to be opening up in Japan at the Universal Studios in Osaka, and that's because they wanted to make sure that it's open before the Olympics are there this year.
Hmm.
So a lot of people are going to be going to Japan this year because of the Olympics, so they might go to Nintendo World as well. So that makes sense. So that's where they're starting it, but it will be coming to Universal Studios in Hollywood, California as well, and it'll be coming to the one in Orlando and Singapore too. So it'll be coming to all the parks, and they announced this the other day with an interesting video that was paired with a new song by Galantis and Charlie XCX. Now, I like Galantis, and the song was kind of cool. I didn't think it was like a great song, but it was kind of cool because like near the end, it starts actually incorporating like classic Mario beats, which the
Uh-huh.
only way that you can do in a song is if you get, you know, the licensing and partnership with Nintendo to actually use their beats. So
Right.
it was pretty cool because now you can like listen to this song in your car and stuff or whatever, and you can listen to a cool dance song that also incorporates, you know, these beats. So um, I didn't think it was an amazing song, but it's a cool song, and I like it. So in the video, it's basically people just running around like essentially a 3D version of Super Mario World, and you know, doing classic Mario things like jumping up with your hand and hitting a coin box and stuff like that. And the reason why that's interesting is because supposedly it's supposed to represent sort of what you'll be doing. Maybe you won't be running around as much, but there are these. It's supposed to be an interactive world within the park. So I'm just going to quote um, this part. Okay, so it says the presentation showed more of these power-up bands, which includes designs by Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, and Daisy.
Hmm.
And then in the app, there were images of a smartphone app that includes a map of the park, and it will allow guests to collect digital coins, compete with others, and earn achievements. So it's looking like when you enter this part of the park, you're going to have to like get a wristband, and then there's probably going to be like while you're in line to get into this part of the park, like signs that tell you to download, you know, like the Super Mario or Super Nintendo World app or whatever. And then you get the wristband, you probably scan your wristband with it, and now you can go around the Nintendo World and scan your wristband, and you can start doing certain things within that area, and it'll add points like to your specific account. And then you can check where you're at on the app, and compete with other people in the area, or like probably with friends directly. So
That
I would
sounds
assume
really
that maybe
cool.
there's, yeah, maybe what I like about this is that they're making like the whole Nintendo area interactive. So it's not like you're just walking around going like, oh cool, there's a cool like Mario statue, and oh it feels like I'm in world, you know, 1-1. But like
Yeah.
actually interactive. So like you want to walk around, you want to find everything, you want to find all the things to scan. And then it says digital coins, so my guess is that the more stuff you find, the more coins you get, and then maybe at the end at like the Nintendo World gift shop or something, you can redeem your coins for like, you know, $5 off of a shirt or
Right.
something
Well,
like
is there
that.
gonna be rides? Because I could see that being also like a fast pass kind of thing.
Yeah, so um, that's just the interactive part of that section of the park itself.
Hmm.
And then there will be rides. So the only one that they know of so far is a Mario Kart ride, which of course
Yeah.
you can't have a Nintendo World without a Mario Kart ride.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
um, Mario Kart, I believe, will be happening, which would be sick, right? Especially since they have the hover carts in Mario Kart 8. Because now with this ride, it makes it so you can make it more roller coastery
Right.
as opposed to just like actual, you know, cars that you would do at like a mini golf place or something like that. Um, because you can actually like float from side to side. So I feel like they could definitely fit this in a really cool motorcycle, and they're all like in the hover car position, like all the carts,
Uh huh.
and you just have like a really awesome thing. Um, so I think that would be really cool. And the other one that they're The other ride that's rumored is a Yoshi Adventures ride. I don't really know what that would be, but either
Get
way,
to
like
ride a Yoshi.
maybe, but either way, it'd be really cool
It's just
because
a big
I'd be
guy
super
they
pumped.
dress up as a Yoshi and do like a piggyback ride.
Yeah, but maybe I'd love that. Come on, Yoshi, hop on my back, guys. Let's go for a ride. All right, here's an apple. So this is what I love about Disneyland is that Disneyland themes all of its rides really well.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're on the ride, you feel like you're actually, in space. You feel like you're in Indiana Jones. They do such a great job of all of this. So I'm really hoping that Universal, and I'm assuming they will, because I'm assuming they've probably put tons of time and money in this. And they also can't get any approval to do any of this without Nintendo also saying, like, yeah, we agree a really good way to represent our products and our characters. So I really hope that all the rides are, super themed towards, Mario, and it's just an awesome experience. But I love that they're actually putting thought and time into the world itself and the area of the park and making it interactive and not just an area where you just sit and wait to get on, one or two rides. Like you actually get to have fun walking around the area.
Yeah, and while you're waiting too, if the lines are really long, you have something to do.
Yeah, you can still like look on the app and like see like if anyone's beating your scores or whatever. Maybe there'll be like mini games as well.
That's what
like
I'm thinking. Like a little Mario
Nintendo mini
stages.
games everywhere. Yeah, and like while you're in that area, like they're all free to do,
like
as long as like you have the app and you just scan it.
The Mario game that's on the phone, like just make the levels similar to those.
Yeah. That'd all be really cool. So, and then supposedly there also might be Switch integration. So like if you bring your Nintendo Switch to the park, like you can pull out your Switch and like connect to their Wi-Fi or whatever, and then it logs in that you're there with your Switch.
That'd be sick.
So maybe you could like unlock special things,
Pokemon
like in Mario
exclusives.
Kart. Like
you could easily get Pokemon exclusives.
Yeah, or even like something as simple as like you get a new Mario Kart track that's based off of like the roller coaster.
That's so
like the roller coaster goes in like 8 loops and does this or whatever. Like 8 loops would be crazy.
Here's a demo of Yoshi's Yarn 4, whatever they're on. They can do a lot of things with
it. That's a lot of yarn, Elek. Yoshi, in this one, Yoshi teaches you how to make things with yarn.
Yoshi's
yarning lessons featuring Yoshi. But they basically were saying that they want to make this world like a life-size video game.
Sounds pretty sick.
So yeah, I approve.
I approve as long as it turns out good, because I could also see it turning out to be really poop.
Like the only way I could see it being bad is that it wouldn't be bad. It's just too kid friendly.
No, it could be too kid friendly.
Where you're like,
there's just nothing to do. It's more of an amusement, and you do it once, and it's like I'm probably not going to come back here again, kind of thing.
I mean, I feel like it could be a thing where like anyone between like 5 and 12 would think this is the greatest, coolest thing ever, and then but like anyone older than that is like, I already did that.
Yeah,
but. See, that's what most parks do, though. They open up this like new section, and it's really cool, and it looks really cool, but there's nothing to do other than sit in line and wait for the rides.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that they're at least experimenting with this.
For sure.
And obviously, like as it goes on, they could probably make adjustments or switch out different like mini games or things to do in there, and be like, okay, that didn't work, so let's try this and stuff like that.
Yeah, it might not be good in the beginning.
But I'm sure the rides will be, just maybe not the area itself.
Right.
But I do think it has a lot of potential so far. So we'll have to wait and see for people to go once it starts to be finished.
Yeah.
Because that's what I like when everybody finally was able to go to like the Star Wars park at Disneyland. Everyone was like, "This place is awesome." The only downside is that there was only one ride at the time. The second ride in Star Wars World though opens up tomorrow, which for us from this podcast is January 17th. So brand new Star Wars ride, which is supposed to be sick.
Yeah, I still haven't
People
gone.
were saying the new one coming out is supposed to be awesome.
Have you been?
No, dude, I've been in Minnesota since that one opened up.
Wait, is it? I thought it's. Wait, where's Star Wars? It's Disneyland, right?
Yeah, but they opened up a whole new section of the park. Like it's literally a brand new like section. It's not in Tomorrowland anymore.
You don't have Disneyland in Minnesota?
Unfortunately, not, Alec.
What? Oh
Dude,
my
the only
god!
Disney. There's not Disneylands everywhere.
I could have sworn there was.
No, there's only two in the whole country, dude. There's the original in Anaheim, in California, and then there's one in Orlando, which is Disney World.
That's it.
That's it in the whole country.
Oh my Lanta. I don't know why I thought it was like a
I'm
Six
very
Flags.
surprised you didn't know this. Like, there's other theme parks. There's a theme park here in Minnesota, but it's not Disneyland or anything.
I thought that was like in every state. Oh
No.
my god. I kind of took it for
You
granted.
can find a theme park, but not Disneyland, dude. That's why Disneyland's so big. People literally come from all around the world to go to Disneyland.
And Universal? There's no Universal? There's no...
Universal is the same thing. There's one in California and there's one in Orlando.
Wow. Six Flags.
SeaWorld, there's one in San Diego. There's one in Texas, and I believe there's also one in Orlando. So I believe there's 3 of those in the country. And then Six Flags has the most. There's the one in Valencia. There's the one in California. And then there's one in Texas, which is called Six Flags Over Texas. And then I believe there's another one, but I'm blanking out where it is. But
dude, that's insane.
There's still theme parks.
Yeah,
Every state has theme parks, but like, it's not a big brand. It's just that state's random theme park.
Dude, that explains why it's always so busy.
Like here we have Valley Fair, and even that it's only open during the spring and summer because can't use a roller coaster when it's covered in snow.
I mean, have you tried?
You're right, I haven't. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Dude, that's insane. I learn something new every day.
That's why it's so packed all the time. Like there's never the best time to go is typically, I think they usually say like Christmas, because a lot of people don't want to leave that day and they just want to be at home with their families and stuff.
Right.
So Christmas is typically a good day to go. You just have to then you have to try to get your family and convince them to skip Christmas and go. But I mean, like, that's one of those things where like, okay, for that year you do Christmas like the night before or something, and then just the next day, like,
yeah,
spend it at Disneyland or whatever. But yeah, there are certain like days that are better than others historically, but it's always busy there.
Yeah.
Because again, people coming from all across the world.
That's insane.
Yeah. And the one in Orlando is a lot bigger because it's Disney World. So they have like Disneyland, the Epcot Center, the Disney Safari Park.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a ton of, like, they were limited with Anaheim with the amount of land they could get. Whereas the one in Orlando, when they bought that one, it was basically just swampland. So they just bought up like a huge, massive area and were just able to put whatever they wanted.
Interesting.
But yeah, dude, there's not a ton of name brand theme parks nationwide. It's easy to think that when you're born and raised in Southern California and everyone's going to Disneyland all the time.
Yeah, dude, I'm a dipshit.
But most people don't have that experience, man.
So interesting.
Yeah. But it sounds fun. So hopefully this is enjoyable, and hopefully it's up before the next time I eventually come back to California at some point. Because I'd love to go to Disneyland and go to the Star Wars world, and then I'd love to go to Nintendo Land as well, because that would be sick. Did you see that video clip of someone that they were at the Star Wars world and they pulled out a lightsaber while a guy dressed as Kylo Ren was walking by, and had two stormtroopers with him.
No, I don't think so.
It was really funny. So you can make your own lightsaber in the Star Wars land and stuff, and you can carry your lightsaber around. And then they also have actors that walk around all day, like dressed up and acting as stormtroopers, and they have like people dressed up as like Kylo Ren and stuff like that. So Kylo Ren is walking around with two stormtroopers guarding him, and the guy pulls out his lightsaber and just stands right in front of Kylo Ren. And I can't remember exactly what he says, but it's something like, "You're not good enough," or something like that. And one of the stormtroopers says something snarky to him that was just really funny. I think it was something along the lines of, "There's only one Jedi left," or something, "and it's not you." And it was really funny. It's a lot better when you actually see the video, because I'm saying it incorrectly. But it was really funny because the guy just like totally schooled him.
That's funny.
But like, that's what I like though, right? Like, it's more of an experience in that way. Like, you're not just there to ride a ride, but like you get to feel like you're a part of Star Wars, or like you're in a Star Wars movie when the actors are walking by and they stay in character and they say stuff like that. Like, it feels legit. And like, that guy isn't just an actor. Like, he actually knows Star Wars. If he was able to say like, the name of the movie or something like that, and like come up with that joke, maybe it's even a joke that he probably says to a lot of people,
Yeah,
it's just like a repeated thing.
Yeah.
And this is just the one time it was filmed and, went viral.
Yeah.
But like, it's still cool. And like, it adds to the experience. So like, I hope there's stuff like that with the Nintendo world as well.
I'm assuming the training has to be really rigid, because like, one of her not friends, but somebody that we went to high school with, like, she's like totally into Disney and was like doing all this training and stuff. And you have to like actually get like certified and stuff. And it's like years of training.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, she always posts it.
But
at least that's what it seems like.
Yeah, I don't know what her specific role is within Disney though. So I don't know if it's something that like everybody needs to be a part of, or just people within certain
things. Yeah, like I don't think like if you're a cook or janitor or something, you need to do some extensive training. But definitely like, if you're one of those models or whatever,
probably you got to know like what to say and stuff, and like train on what to do. Like, what happens when a 3-year-old wants to see you and you say, "Hello, I'm Ariel," and then it starts crying like crazy. What do? Do you drop it? Do you toss it to the side?
Drop that nay.
If you said yes to A or B, go home. This job is not for you.
Go work at Six Flags.
Go work at Knott's Berry. Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I think it probably depends like what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because even the people that like, what is it? Horror Nights.
Yeah, they need to do some training too, because
at Universal, they have to do a ton of training, because it's literally they have to learn how to get as close to you as possible without touching you.
Yeah.
So some places are different, right? Like, I've been to haunted houses here in Minnesota where they're allowed to touch you. Like, it's in the thing, like when you're buying the tickets, and it's like you agree to like being touched by the actors and stuff.
I would agree to that.
And it's like, okay, cool. But Universal, there's so many people coming in and out. Like, I feel like it's almost difficult to try to touch people, because like there's so many people, like someone's going to have a bad experience and make a big deal about it or something like that.
Yeah.
So I get that. So they basically have to train to get as close to you as they possibly can without touching you. So like, kudos to them, because I've literally like going around some of those mazes, I feel like someone is literally like millimeters from my face with their hand or their face or an item or something, but they never touch me, and they're so good at it. It's crazy. But the ones here, like you're going through and they're literally like just grabbing you and like holding you. Like one guy like wrapped me up. I was on a haunted hayride and this girl like hops up onto our tractor thing being pulled, the trailer, and just comes up like right behind me and takes a noose and puts it around my neck, and I'm just like, oh my god. But like that's like legit. Like that's legit ways of like being able to scare people, you know.
Yeah.
Instead of just like seeing stuff, you're actually being involved in it.
All right, dude, we got to wrap this up.
All right.
Let me know.
Alex's got to go.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if there's a topic we could do in like a minute or two, or if we should save the rest.
The rest could probably be saved unless you wanted to do predictions really quick.
Predictions on what?
2020 predictions for Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo. Or do you want to just save
that
for
that could take a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's save that one.
All right. Then I think that'll end it. This is a pretty long episode. There's a lot of news today, so yeah. Sorry if you didn't want to listen that long, but you did anyways, right? If you made it here,
Yeah,
joke's on you.
This far. Your choice. I kind of wish we could keep going, but I got work to go do.
Yeah, that's a good one. So unless you think it was a bad one, then joke's on us.
Yeah,
but
less know in the comments below if you hated this episode.
Thank you guys for joining. And if you've made it this far to 7 episodes now, thank you. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Unless you're on Twitch, then thank you for watching and listening. Thanks, guys. So that's it for this week. Thank you guys for joining. You can find me at Dane Alexander 62 on Instagram and Twitter. You can find our podcast page at the Coop Zone 1 on Twitter, and you can email us directly at thecoopzone@yahoo.com. Elek, where are you at?
They know where I'm at. Elek Batoski, E Batoski, basically on all platforms, and then of course Twitch as always.
All right. That'll do it for this week's episode. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Oh boy.